Hey guys, yeah, welcome back. 2 o'clock, couple hours left in a pretty ugly day shaping up here. As expected, we are maybe rolling back over here, trying to get back to day lows currently. This is where we're at, 4.16%. Been a long time since we've had a 4% kind of a day for the NASDAQ, leading us to the downside. 3% for the S&P, Dow 2.65, everything else pretty ugly as well. 7 and 6% at the bottom there for Bitcoin and Ethereum. Bitcoin did try to bounce a little bit, but failed miserably, to say the least. Looks like the market is failing as well. That's the S&P 500 right now. There are a handful of green stocks, but only a handful. A couple of here in the materials sector. Twitter up 2.2% after that shareholder vote was approved unanimously. Everything as expected, I guess, when it comes to Twitter. We'll see what happens next. Meta, 7.3% right now, downside. Netflix, 5.5%. Paramount's here. There was a headline there on Warner Brothers I saw throughout the midday. It didn't really cause much of a bounce, but a lot of the streaming names, Paramount included, down big time, 5% for PARA. Banks under significant pressure as well. Diversified financials leading the way. A lot of the individual names here, 5 to 7%. Ben to the downside, 7.3%. In fact, the individual banks over here, every single one of them in negative territory. Currently, healthcare stocks, industrial stocks, and you get the tech sector front and center, top left, I guess. WDC and the hardware group, 8%. Software names, semiconductors, all getting crushed. AMD, 7.5%. NVIDIA there, 7.3%. Consumer discretionary names, you get the picture. All big-time downside for those. Here's a quick look at the NASDAQ 100. Not much in the way of positivity. There's one. NetEase Incorporated in positive territory. Everything else, though, big-time negative moves coming off of CPI. Inflation still, yeah, a problem. Maybe a bigger problem than expected for the Fed coming up next Wednesday. We'll get the next increase on interest rates. Whether it will be a 75 basis point or a 100 basis point remains to be seen. Now about 75-25 in favor of the 75. We'll talk about that more coming up here. But let's jump into what we were looking at this morning in the pre-market. So much to talk about on the overall market move. And, you know, we made the point of saying individual moves that were happening in the pre-market pre-8:30 weren't going to matter. And they sure did not once that number came out. So let's talk about a few trades that were available to you. Neil is going to lead the way today with a look at one of his.
Going to look at Tesla today for the trade of the day for myself. At 8:30, I was looking at NIO. There were great shorts to the on the overall market, whether you're looking at the Qs or something like that Sean was doing. But if you didn't have a trade at 8:30, the question becomes, how do you react to the news after the open? So just to get the lay of the land here, when inflation ran a little bit hotter than expected, this is what happened in Tesla. 307. Breaking 300 in a matter of minutes. Now, this is a 3-minute chart here. You've missed this move. You've got to be able to reassess. You don't want to sit there just absolutely chasing anything. Now, obviously, on the way down, it would have been fantastic. But once the 300 was breached, that's a pretty key level. And I just jumped back, had an idea of what the levels were once you broke that 300. So here's 300 on the 15-minute chart, just to give you an idea. A couple of days ago on Friday, we did make a 300. You did make the 300 top. Then you supported that 300 in yesterday's trade, and that was the range upside. So beneath it, I'm looking at where were the support levels, like where were the key prices on the way back in. You had this. It's about 296.5 zone, and then on the way up, you had this dip into 295, and then you have 300. So these are the zones that I'm working with, and on the way through, when we bounce back up, I'm starting to look at that 95 to that 96, 96 and a half, 97. That's where I'm looking to engage the bounce play. As you can see at the open, we're bouncing off the low 290s, and I'm shorting in front of that range. Now, every single pop it made, you're going to notice here, we're essentially getting in a little bit higher each time. And each time I'm getting out for the scalp and trying to hold a portion of the trade, it's 92s, 93s. Ooh, then it's a little bit tighter to 94. And then eventually, here's the key. I'm willing to stop out when it takes out that recent high to see what happens when it trades the top end of the range. The context of what was going on at this particular time is the market obviously was tanking, but some of the EV names were showing some relative strength. I could have shown you NEO that I was fighting. The NEO short initially good. NEO was breaking to the upside. Rivian was showing some signs of strength. So you want to be careful with Tesla. I did take the stop out, and this is where the mistake gets made. Ultimately, this ends up being a good trade for me because you'll see I got back in. But this is a wick top. It tries to take out that high, completely rejects it. That's a re-entry point. You're going to ask, well, if you like those levels and you're all over it, shorting it at that same price when it rejected it, why not jump in back here? Why? The opportunity cost of trading multiple symbols at once is sometimes you're going to miss an entry. I had my stop set, I took the stop out, and in that moment, I was trading NEO. And when Tesla was a better short, holding the bottom end of the range, when relatively speaking, NEO was like testing highs, I'm shorting off the highs there, I could have just jumped right back into that Tesla trade right away and had not just these shorts, but more shorts in here, made my Tesla day even better. But I missed that trade. I don't chase it. Stay disciplined. Work back in only where we like it in our zone, that 95 to 96 half. Once it's established, that's the place that I want the short. That's where I think liquidity will hold. And then if it breaks out, I know I'm wrong, upside of that move. And if it breaks down, then I know we got that short that's going to be working out here. But you've always got to look to how can you do better. A couple of things, obviously, I could have held. I put a trailing stop in here when we're failing to break this support level from about 10 o'clock in the morning. Tried to get through 92. I put a trail in, got trailed out, only to see us reach those lows. Again, full context, the EV sector was relatively strong. I don't actually mind that trailing stop. At that point, I was watching everything else in the sector, strength, testing highs. I didn't need Tesla to do that as well, so I put in that trail. About the only thing I could have done outside of taking this other trade was to hang on to that through those lows, not have the trailing stop. But when a move like this happens in the overall market at 8:30, likely whatever you're looking at for key price is now blown out of the water. You can't worry about that. You've got to say what happened in this trading range before, that's where you're sitting now, and what can I do about it? Found a target area for entries, and it was gold on Tesla. If anything, I should have just been trading it more aggressively than I was and not messed around with a couple of other stocks. So this is your trade of the day. It is Tesla. I could have shown NEO, and we'll talk about some of those other opportunities out there. But lots of learning to be done when you have a number like this at 8:30, moving the markets and expanding these zones. As always, Trade of the Day brought to you by Day Trade the World, where you can trade like this and many other opportunities. Best day trading platform and firm in the world.
It's a great example of having a plan and sticking to a plan on a day like today when the overall market is in focus. You really got to dig down to individual names that you know and are comfortable with and prepare for the move before it does happen, because wow, what a move it was. We send out the watch list every single morning, guys. Make sure you grab that before you come join us then at 8:30. More than 30,000 of those going out now to inboxes all over the place. Make sure you grab that for free every single day. Here's a couple of things of note as we head into the afternoon here. Back to day lows for the overall market. It's worth mentioning at this point. Some of the yields making crazy moves today. I just saw the inversion is now negative 27.3 basis points. That's actually off the low that it was. It was more than 30 at one point, which is a multi-decade kind of number, but still. The yield curve inverted 27 and change basis points, which is crazy. Neil was talking about Tesla. There is, however, some bright spots in the overall market, and EVs seem to be some of those. We'll talk about NIO coming up here, but here's Lucid as well. It's still down 0.8, but well off the lows, holding nicely higher, in fact, even as the market continues to roll over. But as far as the market move is concerned, what do we do here, guys? Let's get going because, yeah, back to day lows, back to 3+% for the S&P.
Yo, yeah.
My positions are
We made, is my mic on? Yeah, it is. Okay, what's up? We made some money back in the middle of the day here, but then now this move to the downside isn't helping too much. But yeah, I think you just got to be patient. I mean, I think that's the whole key there. You know, you're trying to catch these falling swords like we talked about. The only play was really to go short. There have been some great names. I mean, I'm $2 in the money on Starbucks, so on and so forth. There are a couple names you could trade and try to chase some of these longs. But honestly, I just feel like today, Apple led the way yesterday to the upside. It's down here again today. Unable to find a bottom really on Apple as we just keep on digging into that one. I mean, we went long a bunch of times. This is where we made money back in the middle of the day when we started buying these 156s, but we just broke. And those of you that were on with Prad know about that break because he was long as well, 156. That broke, we got out, and now it's down here at the low of the day. One more time here for Apple. Like Apple down 5%, market down 4.3%. Yeah, not surprising. And here we go. I was trying to dig into one last long here, and that was going to be Amazon because I feel like it was stronger when it started to get going. And this is what I mean. We made money back, but now we're trying to bottom pick these same bottoms that we're holding, and they're just not holding right now. So, yeah, some downside pressure continues here for all of these names. I don't know. I feel like trying to find the bottoms, not going to work out. The NASDAQ, we teased it when we were down. Remember, we were down 3.5%. I'm like, guys, probably goes to 4. Now it's at 4.5%. So, I mean, this move just continues to make it downside, continuing to make it hard to try to find some bottoms. You could see some of the names. I mean, I'm long Google here. And this is what I mean. We made some money back. I mean, we bought Google off this 105, right? I mean, we made some money back. Went up to 106.30, but here it is falling back down again. So it's like, pick your poison. And it just seems like no matter what pill I choose, it's the wrong one here today. But again, made some money back. Google's positive for me today. So is Meta. So is Starbucks. And so are the triple Qs. We just wound up losing too much money trying to chase the big guy, Apple, all the way to the downside. So that sucked. And then also AMD. But we have a few things to talk about. I mean, Apple's going to be up next. But yeah, short everything. I mean, I think that's right. Lucid, Rivian, there's a few good ones. Tesla, a few good longs at some point as well.
There definitely were. Like when we say short everything, it's like everything was to the downside. I feel like when that number hit, one of the first things I thought of, I know I actually didn't short a firm until it was after the open when everything was sort of running to the upside. But when the number hit, there were a lot of names that you could have come to, and I didn't want to chase a firm down at 25, and I didn't ultimately do it, but that one ended up being a mistake. I could have played it to the short side when it was down there. Instead, I waited for the pop at the open and just was not patient enough. So what ends up happening, I start this thing at 50s. I then wait till 25 even to get more shares in. Looks like it's curling. I add back, give the stop to the high. I get wicked out, but this is what I was actually saying to myself, like, why mess with Neo and Rivian? And we'll get to those, believe me. When you get a wick top, it's like, there's a wick top. No, just jump right back into the trade. Like, I should be short off that level when it shows you a failure at that high, wicks back below, and then it goes right into 24. I'm still holding it. Actually, I shouldn't say I'm still holding it. I just got back in when it failed VWAP here on a firm. And this is, sometimes when the market does this to you, just look at the names that are unlikely to, like if it's all doom and gloom, unless there's a squeeze, a firm's kind of low-hanging fruit, we'll say. I don't know if we're going to talk about Oracle, so I will say that Oracle had earnings. Oracle's earnings weren't good. Oracle's up on the day, but they did miss on EPS. And they even guided lower, but there was some positive talk in terms of the growth that they had in their cloud space. Also, they had Larry Ellison came out speaking, basically saying, look out because we're going to be stealing some customers from AWS. He didn't say specifically who. He just said there would be in the future. Either way, that had this stock running to the upside at the open and relatively strong. It's still positive, but when it made a double bottom, this is the one we left you in the morning. I said, I'll look for a long in Oracle, whether it would have been holding a breakout and the market had recovered or just finding support at that wick bottom. Like, this is the morning low on Oracle at 9:30. And then once it bounced off that same level, I mean, give me a break, right? It's one of the few positive names out there that was showing relative strength. It's now above VWAP. I am going to try to take it out in front of 78 because I think we're headed lower. And I now have a trail if we break below VWAP and get out here like 77.20. I'll just trail this one out. But Oracle, I'm long that. I do have an NVIDIA long after going short this morning. And then Oxy, I mean, well, there was news with oil, so that's why I still have that. Not really thinking too much outside of just playing the consolidation on the Oxy when that news came out of Biden and the administration adding. I don't think that's going to be on there. Yeah, Biden administration adding or buying to add to the strategic reserves or build them back up at $80 a barrel. There was a spike up. I'm just long the consolidation in Oxy. It's not really doing anything right now. Holding VWAP, but not really breaking out either. So outside of that, I do kind of feel like we are obviously relatively weak. Oracle does stand out a little bit here. I don't think we're headed back to those lows, but yeah, the market certainly could be.
Yeah, definitely. Kind of chopping around right now at that prior low on the S&P, the NASDAQ, obviously a little bit weaker. I mean, I put Apple on the board there. We can talk about any of these, though, really, because the importance of the big tech names, the mega cap tech names, on a day like today, coming through and showing itself in the sense that, as we saw there, Sean was talking about Apple a little bit, no bounce and kind of heading back towards day lows. So on a day when you get the biggest of the biggest kind of leading the market to the downside, it's hard to get any rally going.
Oh, I mean, 100% that's true. And I think one thing to keep in mind is as a day trader, and as day traders, all of us that are on this show, there are certain trades that you're likely to do because of the opportunity risk to reward when you get into like a key level. So I'm pretty sure everyone was looking at 156. I was looking at 156 as well. I traded Apple several times. Right when the number came out, I tried to catch a bounce off 160. That didn't work. I tried to catch a bounce off 158. That didn't work. And then 156 did work. But all these times, I could have also just been shorted. I tried to short everything else in the market except for Apple, and that would have been the one. Like once it failed 160 at the open, it's like duh, ding, McFly. That was support. 160 was support. 160 fails. Look at what happens when 160 failed. Sometimes it's not that complicated. If you have a good level, I showed you guys with the trade today in Tesla, if you got a good level, just use it. And if you got a good level, sometimes use it in the other direction. And when that failed at the open, not only did it break down, it then resisted it at about 10 o'clock. And the other thing I always like to say is, whatever ideas you have for the open or key price levels you have, not a horrible idea after the morning rush at about 10 a.m., check back in on them. Because if those prices come back and they're valid, well, you can have a trading opportunity. And that's what would have happened if I had looked back at Apple. By then, I was like, I'm not even looking at Apple. I'm going to short these other things that I feel should be going down. Well, 160 on Apple, there it was, ripe for the taking, and pretty clean as well to short in front of that level pretty much all day. I don't know if 155 is going to hold here. Worth noting that we are breaching the 50 period on the daily, so we're kind of geared toward a close lower than that, obviously. And if we're closing lower, then last week's support was, I mean, it's like $3 from here. So 55 holds. We'll see if it can. But there's room to last week's support on Apple, as crazy as that sounds.
I'm actually, yeah, I mean, we talked about Apple there. I was long the whole way. Should be, I don't know if we should be long now or not. I mean, it's back to the 60s. We just got out when it broke 50s, but it was a relatively small hit on that one. I'm getting hit and now out a couple times here on Amazon because I'm going back into scalp mode right now. You know, we've lost a little bit here. We went long, lost, but then averaged in, and now we're back up to the upside. So kind of washed it up a little bit here in the last little while here on Amazon. But the 3As are disaster for me today. Apple, AMD, and Amazon. We tried to catch them all and just didn't work. You know, Amazon was pretty clean until, I mean, just, you know, we're able to take profits everywhere, but then when it broke, you know, it just failed again for us. So, you know, every time just kept on coming back in. We actually got our money in at decent spots, you know, like 130 there was okay, 129. This wasn't. I mean, that was on the way down. But some of these little takes to the upside were working out pretty good. And then even right now, we're long at 85, and we are just getting a whole bunch out here. Like you can see here, 02s, right here at the 200 period, 08s, 10s, so on and so forth, as we're looking like we want to fall right back in here again. So, yeah, Apple down 4%, sort of leading the charge here today for the NASDAQ. And again, you know, big movement, and we've sort of barcoded here all afternoon, but it seems like, you know, I heard Sharif talking about higher highs, lower lows. We're still right at this bottom right now on the NASDAQ. So yeah, I don't know. You know, find some shorts would be what I would say here into the close. Not great so far here today. So we'll have to watch. Maybe Amazon can get going. I like it. You know, we're $250 in the money here on Starbucks. Like this trade right here, Howard Schultz, they started talking about how, you know, their U.S. stores look to be back on track, so on and so forth. Look at Starbucks. We're still in this name, but again, only have less than 10% that we had initially on this. But this is a nice little $2.50 winner. Look where we're long down here on Starbucks, 86 1/4. It's up to $89 right now. So yeah, this name working for sure. Starbucks, nothing else though. Those A's, man, Apple, Amazon, and AMD really did me in. But I am looking for AMD to break this 200 period. It might be happening soon. That's at 78.50. That's when I get interested in AMD again, 78.50.
Yeah, I was going to bring up some of the chips here to talk about next as we continue. grinding downside. Here's that note on Starbucks, though. They also said they're going to plant about 9,000 China outlets by 2025. So that's a significant uptick in that announcement as well as far as China outlets. But yeah, I mean, Sean, you showed this, but no bounce whatsoever for chips, down 7.5%. I was trying to find the last day when we had that kind of a move on some of these names, and it's been a long, long time.
Certainly has. And look, I'm going to talk NVIDIA. That's the one I traded today. But I wanted to get to the super chat and thank you. Thanks Zach Catton for the super chat here. Thoughts on QT? Fed dumping $9 trillion, $90 billion a month in securities starting this month. Last I read, seems like a huge deal with not many talking about it. We've talked about it a couple times, maybe a while back, but so they're not really dumping. They're letting a lot of them. They're letting a lot of it mature and then just not re-upping, right? So it's kind of like they're running it off is the term that they're using. But it is a big deal, and I've heard some say that, you know, that amount of qualitative tightening. First, if QE is a big deal, then QT has to be a big deal as well. Like it has to play both ways. I've heard that referred to as good as a half point, as good as a full point in terms of the market effect that it should have. And you're right, it is a downward force in the market that I don't think people are appreciating enough, and certainly it does bear mentioning. But it is more of a runoff as we speak here, and that's going to take quite some time for it to happen, as you said, that $90 billion a month. So you're absolutely right. I'm not sure it's discussed enough. We always talk about the interest rate hikes, but there's more to it than just that. There's more downward pressure in the market that I think we could fear when that liquidity does come out of the backside. I didn't trade NVIDIA until it broke 137. And again, sometimes it's like I look back and I was short a lot of things. Like about from 9:30 to 10 o'clock, I was just basically sitting there trying to short. And then with a couple of them, and we'll get to them, I suppose, NVIDIA and Rivian, I was just fighting them all morning and didn't win on those two. But here on NVIDIA, it just popped in right to where support was. This is the same thing Tesla did. Like Tesla showed the level and then gave you the opportunity to short it. But NVIDIA did too. It consolidated at 139 at about 848 to 850. Then tried to break those levels at the open and completely failed to do so. And it gave you that short. I didn't have it till it took out 37s. I was able to scalp some out. Then I stalled out when I thought the market was bottoming because as a day trader, I'm like, yeah, we're making a bottom here. No, we were not. Got away from the short. And then once 134 held, I'm going to pop to the 15-minute just for a quick second here. Once 134 held, that was off of this level from last week. I was saying all morning, hey, if we can hold this level down here on NVIDIA or any of these significant names, we had the big support, then we can get some bounce trades there. So I was scalping that off 134. I still have it right now. I took some out at 135. I'm still holding on to the last piece of it. Kind of feel like this should be Tesla because that's stronger. Like the EV bounces were just better than everything else. So like I went to bottom pick on NVIDIA and Apple, just like, you know, I think a lot of people would, seeing the potential bounce that it could make. But I compare this like nice little tight, tiny bounce to what I'm seeing in Tesla off the lows, $5 off the low in Tesla. You know, that's just kind of like, it sucks. I should be long Tesla instead of NVIDIA right now. Well, Oracle's okay, but man, the EVs are super strong, and I guess we're doing those next.
I'm switching over finally over to some shorts here on AMD and whatnot as the market right here trying to make some new moves. Wow, Starbucks, like that is now above $89, turning green for the day, or just was above 89 and change. We still have this long, so this one's working out for us for sure. I don't want to miss. The problem with me is that I always feel like I'm going to miss the rally back, you know, and then in trying to catch them, it's like, blah, you keep missing every single time because there is no rally back. So like I said, we were able to make money back in the middle of the day, but now you're getting into the close one more time here. And I mean, will the market hold? It's still down 4.5. We could go lower. You're just touching these lows like literally right now here on the market. I mean, this is the NASDAQ 12,260, right? That's going to be the bottom today, 262. You're 10 points away. When you hit that bottom, I mean, I just kind of say, look out below. The problem with shorting AMD right now, and I know we're talking about chips still, it's just like you're right at these levels, but I don't see a long. Like That's really the problem. I mean, we could go long until we break that level, but we've been sort of doing that here today, and none of them have held. So this is definitely a risky spot, you know, shorting finally down on the downside of this move. But the market rate here is going to, in just a matter of seconds, tick lower here. And of course, as soon as I go short, it looks like AMD, you know, the market's at the low. AMD's not even really that close to the low. You still got 30 cents to go to the downside here. But again, pretty risky here to go short some of these chip names. I'm only going to be it until 78.50. Once that breaks, then we can maybe flip to the long. But again, feeling like we're going to get tossed around here a little bit. I feel, you know, the play has already happened. Let's see what happens into the close here. But the NASDAQ is taking down lows. And I know we've already talked about Apple, but there's Apple as well, just taking down the low of the day, looking to break through 155 right now. This is Apple. Wow, destruction today, man. 165. Down $10 today for Apple. And again, looking at these lows, like, how low can we go? I mean, it's a rhetorical question, but it doesn't seem like any of these names want to stop. Amazon's back down to those lows. Google just came right back in for us again, back down to this 105 and change, you know, kind of erasing. Again, we only have 10% or less than that on this trade, but here we come again. And there it is, man. There's the lows getting flushed out on the market right now. So, you know, boom, we just took it out. I don't know. You know, it's just funny that AMD's not going for me, but it's going a little bit back down into the 20s. So let's see if AMD wants to retest those lows as well here.
When it comes to a market that's, you know, obviously weak on the day, if we're trying to find some sort of shorting opportunity, here's NIO, guys, up better part of 2% right now, 1.7, 1.8, depending on how you want to look at it. We were sitting here talking about this 22 in the pre-market, ends up being a bit of a pivot, but NIO possibly trying to throw in the towel here on yet another up day.
Yeah, and just before I move on, I did just take a Peloton from this morning. I was long off of $10 when that news came out, the Nike speculation. It couldn't break 1030 when I was long. It just resisted that now, lower high. I'm shorting the lower high to the high of the day, playing it into VWAP here. And I still have a firm as well, but there's no question about it. Like, my entire day would look a heck of a lot different if I'd shorted, it's almost like you get anchored to being in a stock. If I had shorted Rivian on the number instead of NIO, I feel like I would not have been looking at NIO at this price that I was shorting at the open, because you get anchored to a price in a trade that worked, right? So when I was looking at the gap and the run that NIO made and it took out this bottom at 830, it's like, okay, well, market's flushing. NIO just took out the floor at 2150, short it on the 830 number. And then when it came back and presented me with the same price, it just felt so logical. We'll just jump right back into the trade. And it ended up working. Like, I got 21.35 and it went back into 21. But here's the thing. You have a hold at 20.75. It never went to 20 even, by the way. That's a bad wick. Then as a higher low at 21, did not need to re-enter it that third time. I could have waited for this little bit of a curl, shorted that one if I wanted to, scalped it, and then if I take this short that stops it at the high of the day, not the end of the world. NIO is up 1.6% now and holding the highs, right? So while I was sitting there fighting this one, I could have just been over somewhere else. Like I said, like working with a firm, which was fine, and Tesla, which was great, and all of those other opportunities that were out there. But I fought it on NIO. Instead of just having a flat day, this could have been a fantastic day for me. As it gets to this top, a bit of a different story now. The market's breaking lower. This is now, it's just flat out the high of the day. You can start to work off some of these, pretty defined out. I think it's more of a scalp because NIO has had a tendency for the last few weeks or last week or so to go sideways in the afternoon and not make a move. So I'd anticipate you might not see it break all the way to VWAP, and you might not see it take out the high of the day just based on the history of how it's been going in this stock. But you know, I like Peloton and Affirm for obvious reasons in terms of the fundamentals to be able to short on a day like today, so I'll go with those. If we see the high of the day again on NIO, I'll likely take it, and only because it's not there. Rivian was a very similar story. Shorts were great initially, like there were little pops you could make to the short side, but ultimately it ended up breaking out that high of the day, and now you'd just be shorting off that ultimate top there, like 39.5. I think this one sets up a little bit better than NIO because I feel like you'll get that follow through on Rivian, whereas you might not catch it on NIO. But heck, Rivian up 1%. Not everything is doom and gloom today in the market.
No, Riffin's actually done quite well the last couple of days. There's absolutely no doubt about that. I want to check in on Shopify. This was one name that we shorted early, and it's actually still pretty much holding up okay. This 33.50 area could be something as well there on Shopify. I just want to check back. We shorted it and then got hit and got out of it. Still a small hit. You know, as the market's making new lows, like AMD is not. So I've just been getting out. I'm now out of literally half of it now down here at the bottom. So out of half of this at the bottom of AMD, we switched up our game and went short there. But I'm going to respect this 200 period. If it does take it out, that's 78.37 or so right there to get out. So probably 78.40, those top wicks. If we break that, we'll get out and then reassess. And then honestly, if it starts to go, I don't mind trying to look long at this price, right? And so, I just saw Palladium falling over 7% today as that's come back in. Let's just check out, do we have crypto on there? Okay, we will talk about Amazon. I've been getting tuned up on that name as well. But here's crypto, just in case you thought that you could hide within the crypto market. No, you cannot. So the only button we have, I think, is congratulations.
No, I was looking for my puke one.
I
don't have it.
That's the one where you look like somebody that we don't want to say anymore.
Right.
That you look like him before the allegations. Now you look nothing like him. But there you go, 20,673 again, trying to bounce. And there's Bitcoin, man. Big time movement to the downside today as well. I mean, it's just the same as everything else. It's about that 10% down there on BTC. So, don't look there, but quickly look at Coinbase. Yeah, okay, what a surprise. Like, why I didn't trigger in on this one, I don't even want to look at the chart, because if 80 was anything today, 80 came. Okay, good. So at least 80 got hit real early and it didn't test back, because 80 is a level here on Coinbase that I've wanted to short. I mean, I guess a little bump up to 78, that wouldn't have done it. Anyways, 80 on Coinbase is a pretty key level for me looking to short. I'm now convinced that, and we're going to go over and talk about Amazon, but just for you guys watching AMD, I'm done now. I'm going to let this thing go the rest of the day. I have a bid, honestly, at 10, and then after that, nothing else. This is the low of the day here right now on AMD. For some reason, it's not going lower. I have no idea. Look at the market breaking. We shorted AMD. This thing should be absolutely dead, but there's a buyer right now at 13. Like, honestly, this is really starting to... Okay, here we go. Hopefully it'll come. Yeah, see? I was going to say, like, this should be falling. Like, I finally go short a name and it doesn't want to go down. Great. Great on me for that. But let's see if AMD wants to make that move down. We're 13 pennies in the money, but I feel like this should be through 78 already, Brendo.
All right, a note on some of the Chinese names. Here's Alibaba, first of all, just broke 5% on the way to the downside today. Apparently, there's reports circulating anyways, the U.S. in early discussions on new sanctions on China to deter any kind of Taiwan type of interaction between the two. Here's a couple of interesting notes on Amazon today. They've, or planning to, I guess, invest $450 million in a driver and delivery service education program. So you can apply to, I guess, work for Amazon as a delivery driver, and then you'll get this education program along with it. They're going to put $450 million into that, so good on them. And then the Kindle, brand new Kindle to come as well. That came out today.
Hey,
ooh, so fancy.
Before we say that, I was supposed to say something else when I was talking. I forgot to do it. If you hear some sounds going on in the background, and we always thank everyone for the super chats and all that, it goes right back into making the show better, because we don't really sell anything to you guys. We don't sell anything to you guys. And there's like a lot of work happening on the stage and a new desk. So whatever you hear, Mark's putting in work, and he has been for the last little bit, because we want to make this every single day. The goal is to make the show better for you, make the experience better, make the community stronger, because that's what it's all about. That's what we're all about. There he is, working hard over there. This is going to be like this gigantic green screen thing that you guys are going to absolutely love. So I just want to get that one out of the way. I actually didn't trade Amazon today. It's weird. Like I wrote down a level on Amazon, and then for whatever reason, oh yeah, that's right. Everything at 8:30, everything changes, right? Well, we all knew that. Yeah. So clearly, you can come in with a bit of a plan of action. It's just not going to matter. And I was a lot more interested in Amazon had it been. Look, had the number come lower, I think it would have been pretty clear. Like I had a 138. Oh my goodness, why am I still offering here at 135? So I tried to catch a breakdown at 135, missed the short, and have been offering 135 essentially the entire day.
Wow.
It doesn't matter.
Maybe you'll get it.
It's so far away from the price, it doesn't matter. But that's been sitting in there since the morning. But like it never broke 138, so that just never came into play, right? The number came out the other direction. And I suppose, yeah, it could have been resistance. I didn't try the 135 break, as I just mentioned. I didn't actually get that short. And it looks like it's just been heading down lower. So I didn't trade anything on Amazon, unfortunately. I will tell you, I am pennies away, 11 cents away from stopping out of my only long that's left, and that's going to be NVIDIA on the bounce. Maybe this has some juice if it gets off that. If it gets to this level, 127 would have been last week's double bottom. I think it made that middle of the week there, or Thursday or something. That could be a level 130. Wow. Now that I look back at it, it was probably a trade off this at 130, but I've been paying attention to a firm, which I just took some profits on. When in doubt, when the market tanks, shorting a firm has been like this go-to. If I forget, what am I looking for to short today? Usually the answer is a firm if the market's going down.
Yeah, you always got to have those kind of names in your back pocket there, just in case you're looking for something to go nuts there. Okay, so I was just looking here at, talking about a name that we're about to get out of here. We let it run all the way up. We have a small piece, man. It's only 10%, but we're going to get out right now on Starbucks as it breaks below the 50 period right now. And that's it, man. Look at this trend change, right? All the way straight to the upside. We actually should have just respected this the whole way, and then we'd have no problem. Yeah, we got out at some of the highs there. When it went to 87.20, that was pretty good. Same high right there, back into where we were sort of pre-number. The number's up here, but as the number comes out and we get ready to open up for the day, those are some good outs for Starbucks. And we picked that bottom there as former CEO Howard Schultz came out and was talking all about, just he's going to stay on as a advisor until that all gets sorted out. But they did peg their new CEO already. Anyways, Starbucks, nice little move to the upside, and there it is, down on Starbucks. So we'll go good trade there. That was a good one for me today. Starbucks, I made a lot of money there, so thank God for that. Otherwise, it was a pretty bad day to go long on anything, but that's Starbucks for some reason. There it is, man. That's the one that works to the long side. Amazon, yeah, look, new Kindle, new everything. We went long Amazon early, real early, like at 8:30 on that dip, quickly in and out there. That's like 20 or 30 cents, thinking that 132 would hold. And then again, like in and out, dropped it again at 130. We trying to defend it, went upside, able to make some trades. In and out there, lost. Nicely done. As I said, in the middle of the day, we had some winners. And then just now, took some hits there because we were long out. And then just got out again as it's trying to find a bottom. And it might have done it, man. Maybe this bottom is right here. It's trying to bounce off 128 right now. I can see it because I'm watching AMD. Seems like we might have some strength now to come back in. This 128.25 might be worth it. I'm debating taking some shares here as AMD is trying to rally a little bit back up. We've been just getting out of this right now. Ooh, that went to 04? I'm at 05, so that's strange. It literally must have hit me. And then, yeah, it went to 05, 06. It didn't get filled. So, okay. Anyways, hopefully that can come back down. But I am actually, now that I look at that long for Amazon, and again, am I really going to get like trapped like this, or do I just wait to go short when we break that? That's really the key, right? Go long now against that 128.25, or do we just smash it when it comes and then go short, right? So that's sort of what I'm debating right now. Let's try to make that decision. Okay, that's 128.30. We've wicked down. Yeah, that's 127. There is a lot of room to the downside here. It's not like it's a super key level, but if this market just keeps on ticking to the low side here, that's probably is a great smash there for Amazon. What's up, Brendan?
Not much of a reaction on this, but TechCrunch reporting, guys, that Starbucks and DoorDash going nationwide starting in 2025. So expanding their current partnership, Starbucks and DoorDash. So you can now get your $6, I think, or something here for a latte at Starbucks through DoorDash.
$6.
That's probably like his fancy drink, but yeah, they're expensive, man, when you're starting to run that up. But
those are crack prices. Can I say that?
You could say they're crack
prices.
Those
are crack prices.
Yeah, yeah. They're. I don't know what crack prices are, but that sounds like.
Man, buy Starbucks.
That does sound
People
like
pay,
it.
Hey, man.
No, go ahead.
Not me, but look, I'm just saying, like that's when you have pricing power like that. Do you, man? Like that's like a license to print money. Those margins obviously juicy if people are going to do that because coffee is cheap. I can get we get whatever. I grab my own. We get the beans, and they're fantastic, and it's way better
I
than
think
any
what
Starbucks
you pay for is the baristas, because they're making these are
Yeah,
handcrafted.
they're handcrafted.
Like a
Okay.
coffee's $2.50. You know, a coffee at Tim Hortons is $2.20. So I
McDonald's
mean,
is good too.
McDonald's has the dollar coffee.
You know
every
how I
once
feel
in a
about
while.
McDonald's coffee.
I like
That's-
McDonald's coffee. I prefer it over all of them.
too cheap for that stuff,
That's
man.
for sure. But yeah, I mean, Starbucks. You know, look at the move, right? I mean, it's a big move today. So Starbucks definitely, it hasn't worked in this market move down, but it's definitely a lot better than the big cap tech names. I mean, you bottomed out at 70. They're going to have problems in China, like we talked about that over and over again with these COVID policies, because they were opening like a store a day or more than that in China back a couple of years ago. And then, of course, COVID hit and so on and so forth. So I don't know about that statistic now. Maybe they're closing a store a day, but as COVID sort of is finished with here in North America anyways, I do know that there still are COVID restrictions and whatnot in China. So, you know, to me, you know, once that gets back going, then fine. But like I said, they were talking about it all today. The actual note on Starbucks, reason why I went long, if I can find it. Oh, there you go. They're going to announce $220 million investment in China over the next 3 years. Yeah, China, there it is. Execs, that's wow, 50 minutes ago. China will open one new store nearly every 9 hours. For the next 3 years. So 9,000 stores in China by 2025. So actually, I didn't even read that, and I'm just looking at that now as I search through Starbucks. But one store every 9 hours.
That's intense.
For the next 3 years in China. So crack prices might be the case.
That's a Chappelle reference, by the way.
I know.
I know
but
you know that, but I feel like sometimes I'll say a reference to like
That's why you
pop
gotta, like,
culture
scratch
or
and,
you
like,
know what.
you know.
I'd be like,
crack prices.
yeah, like I'm not actually saying, I have absolutely no idea, obviously. But I do know one thing, Pelotons don't make any sense to me. Oh, and I should have mentioned this, it wasn't just the Nike store on Peloton, there was also that story about you could rent.
Right.
You can rent the Peloton.
I feel
and
like
we're-
that story's, something's wrong with that.
Okay, so we heard this morning, and it was like you could rent them for $85 or $89. I think we heard it was a month. I don't know if that makes a ton of sense to me in terms of the pricing as well, but that was another story in addition to some of the speculation that came through. But pulling back into VWAP, I shorted the curl here. It's holding VWAP for now. I'll tell you what ain't holding VWAP and is not going to. Lows of the... I'm on the bid here. You know what? I'm just going to... There's a buyer of 10,000 shares on 24.15 here on Affirm, which I don't know why this is still on Rivian. There we go. So this was here. So I instead got out at 16 some shares. And Affirm continuing to head to the downside. So breaks VWAP, headed to the low of the day. 24 could easily break on Affirm. And even if it does... You still you haven't even gotten back to the September low on this stock down at $22. I get it, short interest, squeezable, all that kind of stuff, and that's all certainly true. But this today rejected the 50-period moving average on a day where we got shocked with inflation being too high. Like this should have been the first place I looked at 8:30. There's no question about it, man. Like it was at such a big level. And the problem was I wasn't watching it yesterday, so I didn't come in thinking a level on this stock. Rejecting the 50 period as we got that number was an absolute golden short, and I wasn't shorting it till we're in the back end of this move. But it's still headed to the low of the day. We take out 24. It's got room to fall. Go back to like last week. It's got lows around 22. Brendo?
Just going to have a look at the 10-year again today because, yeah, we're back to the downside. This is what happened this morning, though, on the 10-year. Got up to 344, 345. Coming back in a little bit. Just notice that as we made a new low on the market for the day, this actually went down to 74% to 26%. So this is 75 basis points versus 100. Now at 26% of a chance for a full 100 basis point increase. That got as high as 30, it's worth noting, initially today, guys. But pretty impressive ahead of, remember, next Wednesday, the 21st, we'll get that increase coming next week.
Oh, I'm sure there'll be nothing to see there. You think we have volatility today? Well, maybe it won't be as volatile next week.
The difference is you have an expectation.
It won't be.
Right.
It won't be as volatile as today.
No,
really,
it won't,
pretty much
because
won't
today
be.
no one knew what the hell was going on.
No,
I mean, most
that's the
people
thing.
thought we were going to get 7.7, 7.8, 7.9, 7 something. Instead, you actually got higher than expected.
I was prepared to execute the other direction.
Yeah,
like
of
I had levels, I had more levels lined up and more things ready to go to punch in if it had come the other way. Because I felt like, okay, well, that might be the other trade, the other direction, I'll be able to catch it, and that wasn't as true as I thought it was going to be. But yeah, you're 100% right about that. Just for everyone talking about CMRA, 9 million float, and there's no news on the stock. So just Brennan telling us in our chat here, there is actually no catalyst other than the low float that we can find, and it is breaking to fresh highs. I pulled up the daily chart to see if, even if it gets through 4, it's got room to 4.5. So this one still could go support down to potentially 3, but no catalyst other than that old low float story. So
that story.
Yeah, kind of like the old, well, if it holds a consolidation, I'll long the consolidation because I suck at taking the breakouts on these when they're at the high of the day.
I have a feeling like we'll be telling our kids, like, oh yeah, back in the day when stocks had absolutely no float whatsoever and stocks used to go absolutely haywire through the moon, you could buy a stock for $5, close your eyes, and it would be at $2,500 and in a matter of a day or two. So, you know, that will be those stories. Like my parents tell me, you know, I used to walk uphill every day to school and back. Like, I don't understand how that happened. You're walking uphill to school and uphill back home. But anyways, those are the stories that go on.
It's true.
All right, so Apple right now, AMD right now making those lows. We talked about trying to pick on this name, and that was the short that we put on right for you guys at 78.30. But the problem is, as much as I'm enamored with AMD shorts right now, unfortunately, I went back to the well with Apple as Amazon is also very, very close to a bottom. Maybe we just, not maybe, it seems like we might have misspoke here on Apple because I don't know, man. We just got the bottom of the day there. So let's hope for a rally. But if we break that 90 level, we're out of this. So this is only going to be worth about 15 cents of risk here for us. And I feel like, you know, you take profit when profit is there on a name like Apple today, especially. I would think that we could get a move back to the upside. So let's see if we can do that here and then ride it back up. We're going to wait at 10s. We're going to wait at 20s. But again, like, what are we long at 03? We're going to take about a 15 cents worth of risk here to try to hold that. But I don't know. We did a good little out there as AMD is, for some reason, just bounced back up. That'd be nice if Apple took on the same sort of excitement that AMD is right now. So that could be nice. So let's see if Apple wants to get back to the upside here. It looks like AMD wants to run, but Apple doesn't. So, of course, again, it has to be the other name that I'm not in. So here we go. Apple upside right now. AMD. Google, you know, is breaking lower here. I have a very, very small position on this, kind of holding it to see if we get back to 105. I think the other stocks will tell me that. If Apple takes down the low, then yeah, we are going back down to 105, I would assume. And that Apple low is very, very soon, even right now. See, Apple just failed again. So it just failed again, trying to break back above 155, didn't get going. As the NASDAQ right now looks like this. So yeah, I mean, you're getting some big wicks back and forth. People trying to defend it, but it's not working. Every single time someone tries to step up, just like I did, you just get hit back down. And then the selling of this Apple position, of course, will create more sell pressure back into the shorts, right? So I got to get rid of the long that I stood in front there and took. So yeah, not looking good here on this Apple reload, but it's only going to be there for a little bit, not a long time. If we break that low, we're out of Apple, and it looks like it's going to happen very, very soon. Those mock imbalances coming in about an hour should be real exciting today, down 5%. Yeah, that's way too long away for me to even to talk about it, but it's just thinking about those coming up at 350.
Look, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but because we are close enough to 5%, you know, the whole 7% circuit breakers in the futures can get discussed. Just keep in mind, those are only valid up. I think it's it's like 3. Is it after 3:30? I think it might be 3. It's either 3:30 or 3:45. Like, once you get to a certain point in the day, they're no longer in place. So even if you get a huge fall to the downside, they don't halt the futures going into the close, right? So there's enough liquidity at the close for that to be a bit of a concern. I'm not thinking we're getting down 7%. That's a bit extreme from where we are. But always best to be a little bit prepared. So we're getting into power hour here. I tried to get Rivian here when it broke 39.20, did not chase it. But now you're catching a little bit of a bounce. So on this potential pop, if we get back to the 39 to 39.20 area, that's where I'd like to try to put on this short. So I might take a little bit here as it gets to 39 and then try and work into the rest. Peloton, is still holding VWAP. not really, if it was bouncing off VWAP, I'd be feeling a little bit more concerned, like why aren't we dropping here? It still has a chance to roll over. The market's holding these lows, at least for now. I think if it does, we could take out VWAP. This could break 10. I could even add to it breaking 10. No worries when it comes to a firm at this particular point. And then just checking back in on Tesla, yeah, this did roll over. I should have just, it got right back to that same level we were shorting, and I'm like, yeah, firm, Peloton, let's go for that. Tesla, strong, EV strong. I don't get into it, but Tesla now breaking down. It's taking out VWAP. I think Rivian could follow. That's why I want to see if I can get this short somewhere in this range here, and then it plays back into VWAP as the market seems like it wants to head lower.
Yeah, the market's not going up. I mean, Apple cannot get going whatsoever. So I mean, that's fine. Like, I don't even have any offers out. You know, it's going to break the low and we're going to get out like right now. So, you know, that kind of sucks because Apple right here is sending this market. It's not that it's sending the market lower. It's just the fact that it can't go means people have to sell, right? And when people are balancing their portfolios out, Apple being such a huge weight in the S&P and into the NASDAQ, if this can't like, see, like it tries to go, man. It like goes up to 155 and stops again. I'm debating maybe just like getting out and then re-engaging in this at a higher, like once we break higher and like almost want to get going. Like it doesn't really make much sense right now. Like why not wait for Apple to take this level out? Like 55.17 or even these wicks or even to get back up here. I mean, I feel like if I wait and I give it up, then yeah, you're going to miss the bottom. But at the same time, you know, maybe you're not missing the bottom. Like that's the other part. If I'm flat right now, I can regroup and then think about what that next trade is that I want to put on instead of like just hoping for the long, right? So, you know, that's something right there. Taking out that level, 155.15, let alone 155.30, something like that. It just gave me an opportunity to get out for flat. Like I'm long here at 03. Like it just went to O's or 01s. We could have taken some pressure off there. And I'm debating doing that. But the problem is we're so close to getting stopped at the bottom that it's like, why bought? Like I've already sort of made that bed, but that's something that, and it's going to hurt, but it's not going to hurt that bad because of our price. It's only going to be a 15-cent hit. But at the same time, you know, could have saved that by being a little more, I don't know, a little more careful and like waiting for things to go instead of trying to once again catch these swords. Because look, it hasn't worked, right? And here it goes again. It's going to take out the bottom. That's unbelievable right now that this market's down 5%. But okay, Apple, you were up 4%, 5% yesterday, and you've just given it all back today. So that's part of the reason why I think we could run. Is just to try to get back some of what we've lost here today. But, you know, as I just finished saying, the market doesn't necessarily agree with me, which is fine. And here we go. We're going to get stopped out once we take out 90s. That's it. We'll be out of that. That is the low of the day. And here it goes right now. So Apple, you know, resisting that 90 break. There it is. I was going to say resisting it for now, but there it is. Downside for Apple. So we're not at the lowest spot we're at today because we made some back, but there goes Apple again to the downside. We still have our AMD short. I mean, that's really the one that's, you know, been okay because we finally put on a short.
Just to point out here, a couple things on the futures. A, if you're watching us on the futures, the Z contract, if you have not switched over, we're no longer trading the U. The Z contract is the front and doing more volume. But getting into Friday's morning support on the ES is being tested. I just reloaded, well, I got into Rivian. I was just talking about Rivian. I just got into Rivian, but I said I would add to Peloton on a break of $10. That just broke 10, so I added to it. It's now taking out VWAP to the downside. So again, it just feels like the market wants to head lower. There is potential support down here, so you do want to make sure if you're not scalping, well, if you're a day trader, you're going to scalp out almost always, but paying yourself does make some sense. I'm into Rivian now off that 39, just looking to see if we can get down to VWAP. Someone in the chat said, what is NEO doing? Hanging out near the high of the day. That's what NEO's doing. It's not a huge difference between NEO and Rivian, but just enough extra selling in Rivian that I kind of prefer the short in Rivian as opposed to NIO. Very similar setups, but you know, I just feel a little bit better about Rivian where it is. Brendo?
Citigroup here, guys, making a move to the downside. Their CFO making some comments right now talking about loan costs and credit troubles going to be higher in Q3 than in Q2. So that just happened on heavy volume for Citigroup.
And they don't like that ilk, man.
That's a big candle down.
And the inversion ain't great for these guys either. So.
No, and that might happen too, the 2s and 10s. Look, look at Apple. I mean, I just want to talk about it quickly here. So Apple, I just want to say, like, I was fighting this long, and it wouldn't even go like 5 cents up. The minute it takes down that low of 90, like, it just dropped 20 cents as if there was no bid. Like, you know, so there you go. Like, the market moved. I mean, the market moved fine, but like Apple, like right there was just like, no, like all these down moves are just like not being respected at all for Apple. So a big time move to the downside. And of course, Citigroup, I mean, that's just nasty for banks again. Like maybe we are getting this epic collapse in this market here for once and for all that people have been talking about. You know, retesting 3,600. I mean, we're at 3,970 right now, and the S&P did not even come close to, I mean, it tried to hold 4,000, but now you're 23 points below that. And on the NASDAQ, you're trying to march, man. We were at 13,000 this morning. You're at 12.2 right now. So it's a big move to the downside as well in the NASDAQ with almost no love back. So Citigroup trying to get it back on the daily. I mean, we were lower than this, but not much. Back down to 48 bucks. Good little update there from Brendan on Citigroup. Probably making lows here again on that. AMD still, I mean, everything. I don't know where we go long, but it's a disaster here today.
Yeah, like it's bad for those banks. I was just checking in on like a TD bank, like here in Canada, almost back to its 50 period. One shot, like it just touched 70 and came right back down to the 50. I just saw, so Tesla just now, I was going to get to Rivian because it put some bids out in front of VWAP, but yeah, that's real. Tesla just bouncing about almost $1 here as the market's still holding these lows. That's a pretty sharp move up there in Tesla. My gut reaction would be to fade it off VWAP because that's a bit of a liquidity vacuum. So it's back into 94. I don't know. 95 would make a little bit more sense to me. But if this continues up and tests a little closer to 95, it just came out of nowhere. I don't see any particular reason. Nothing came across the wire on Tesla. Maybe I don't know if anything just came that I missed on Tesla, but a bit of a spike there, about $1. If it does try to continue, with the market's at the lows, I could try to short this pop if it gets closer to 95. But yeah, Tesla, the EVs have been strong. There's no question about it. Like I was just basically in the money on Rivian, and just like that, I'm back to flat on the trade, or even, I suppose, on this recent trade. But Tesla needs to go a little higher before I'd short it at those prices that we're working off of this morning. But I don't know where that just sort of came, and it's still continuing here to head to that upside. Maybe NIO's making a run as well. NIO might give, yeah, NIO's doing absolutely nothing. Forget about it. I thought maybe NIO was doing a sympathy move, but it looks like it's just Tesla going.
I mean, is the market actually, yeah, no, the market's trying to go. I mean, we are very, very close to putting on a much bigger position down here. As it actually, I missed it. It went to 128 Amazon. And now here, man, we got to take some profit on this for sure. As there it is, nicely done right there. I mean, you know, whatever, it's 13 cents. We'll take it if we could get it. Apple, of course, I say there's no bid. Market comes roaring back, and it just goes right back to that level one more time. We could see if that wants to go back up to the upside. But we do have, for temporarily, a nice little win here on Amazon as that's starting to go, and AMD as well. I mean, do we think that maybe we just bottomed at 12,200? I mean, I guess it's possible. You know, I always go back to AMD because, you know, when the market gets going, there is absolutely no stopping this name. I've talked about that a couple times. So I was wondering about maybe this name being down 8% gets bought back up. Remember, we have PPI, I believe that's tomorrow. So consumer prices, producer prices tomorrow. If that comes nasty as well, then not only is the consumer going to be in a little bit of problem, but obviously so would the producer. And that could be a case for EV names also to head back down to the downside if, you know, if there are pricing power index tomorrow is weaker than expected. That's not good at all. All right, that's okay. Whatever. I was just reading something about a nuclear deal, but that's nothing. Okay, AMD. There we go. We just got a little piece out, and now it's come right back in. I do want to look at Amazon, and here it comes again, right back down. Like, this is what I mean. Like, we just got some out at 27 there, and it just comes right back down to 10. That's not going to seem like a big move for a lot of you out there who are trading. You know, maybe you're trying to hold it, you're trying to swing or whatever, but like when I'm sitting here, and let's just say even if you have 500 shares or whatever you have, like a move up and down of 20 cents, you know, can make a little bit of a difference. It's not huge, but just funny to see how violent some of these prices are today, as we're going to try to take some more shares down here near 128 on Amazon. It's just, you know, when you're looking at some of these levels, and again, on a 20-minute chart, you know, you've fallen so far today. Like, That's $10 on Amazon as well. That wicked bottom right there is 127.50. So I don't know, man. I mean, I'm just sitting here at 04 again. We just missed the long back at 04, but just one fill down and we'll get it. But anyways, that's me sitting there on Amazon. So we'll wait to see here what happens. We just got the long. You can see the size is at 128 right now. Decent if you saw that. Let's see if it can pull it down here for you. There it is right there. Not that that size is going to do anything. It's about like net wise probably, I don't know, a couple 100,000 shares there, maybe at most, let alone the dark pools are there. But there it is, a nice little move to the upside there for Amazon.
Yeah, I just took the first leg out finally on Rivian in front of VWAP there, so that's starting to work to that downside. Ooh, some of my buttons are just gonzo. So we'll do that one. Fist bump it, because some of my emojis or whatever we call these do not want to work. I don't want to ignore CMRA, and I was looking for a consolidation long here, but the volume. It's kind of tough for you guys to see the volume. The volume's really dried up on this. Yeah, really dried up. So even in this consolidation, it's not terribly exciting. I'd rather see volume start to pick up. And even as I say that, it's starting to break down. So maybe there'll be a volume pickup if it holds 3 to 315, but not a heck of a lot giving the reason for the long here up around that 350 area. So I'll sit back, relax, wait around for it. I'm not going to sit here forcing any of these small caps to the long side. It's got to get going and show me there's buyers on a day like today. If it does, then I don't mind joining the party. Peloton, after adding to it, it's now still kind of working its way slowly through VWAP. No issues there. And Tesla, which just made that run, not quite up to 95, but hey, it's trying to put it in a higher low as well here too. So, it's trying to hold now above VWAP after pulling back. This could be headed back up to that 95, 96 area where I do like those shorts up there on Tesla. Got to be very patient with this. The market is trying to make a little bit of a bottom here. And that does lead me on over to Intel. Still on those. The one mistake I made on Intel today, yes, I was on the bid in front of $30 today on Intel. I did scalp it. But once it started holding below 30, it's like, oops, could have just shorted it off the 30 level. That's the other side of the coin, right? Like, it's at 29.50, or sorry, 29.70, not getting ahead of myself here. It's at 29.70, but this is a level that below that $30, as much as it was worth trying to defend it, it's also going to be worth going short in front of it as well. So that'll be pie in my face. But the market tries to bounce here. If Intel bounces to 30 bucks, I'm shorting Intel in front of $30 to be sure. Got to take advantage of that. But first things first, we'll get back to these EVs.
Yeah, I was just looking at Google as well on the 1 minute chart here to talk about going long near that 105 area. I'd like to see it get a little bit lower before we start punching into the long. You did see me take, and I think I'm just going to keep taking some out here as I'm not super confident in an upside move here in the market. We just got another 14 out there on Amazon. But yeah, I don't know, man, like taking a dime on this, it just doesn't seem right to take such small wins on these names. But we were adding to our net, and until this is why it's like, we take a trade against a big level. It kind of runs against 128, and it just went to like 128.17 or 18. And I mean, when that happened, you saw me just all of a sudden go over there and start to get out, because again, like any kind of a move back up for Amazon, it needs to take out this 128.25. So that's where I'm offering my next bid. So here it comes right now. And as I see that, man, I just go over and say, like, got to get some more out on this name. So we're going to hold, again, I'm going to hold 60% of this trade. I'm trying to get some more. You know what? Maybe 25, forget about it. Let's just take some out at like 18, and then we'll hold the rest. So there it is. We're off. Okay, well, there you go. You heard me hit the enter key, and then the stock went down. There we go. There we go. We got it. So it breaks through 18s. We take that fill. Now we can rest assured to try to hold the rest. If it breaks through 128, we can get out of that. We'll average back into 128.07, 06, wherever. I'm long at 04 right now. So we'll take a little bit of an average price back in. But it's a nice move back to the upside for Amazon. As I see my net going higher and higher, I naturally think like, okay, got to get more out. But like Prad said, sometimes it's like, you got to let your winners go a little bit here. And not that this is a monster winner or anything, but it's pretty good. It's a decent size. We're making back about a quarter of what we've lost on Amazon today. So this is a nice move off that 128. There we go. We just get a 123 as well. So just trying to find some better levels, right? So we're not averaging into this kind of a move. So 128, maybe that's enough. We'll see if this market's well cooked. But for right now, like if you like your steak well done, Well, you just got served today because well done on the shorts here for NASDAQ. Is it overcooked? I think so, but who knows, man? I mean,
down 5% almost always.
Oh, Brendan,
is.
by the way, said
it's
325. I don't know if we announced that, but thanks to Brendan for that one. So if you get 20 more minutes of a market kind of stable, then you won't get
we're not hitting the circuit breaker, but I shouldn't say that.
You're the one that told to never speak in certain.
I know. I should. What I should say is there is a 99.9% chance that we are not going to hit the circuit breaker.
Highly unlikely would be a good word. Yeah.
But as Brendan put on our chat, 325. After that point, it doesn't matter. They will not halt the futures. That's just the way that it goes. Tesla's still trying to bounce. I did get the reload, and I was checking to make sure Tesla was rejecting 95s when I reloaded some Rivian beneath that 39 level. So I did add to that position. Still only working with the 3 shorts. I am looking for something that's not a small cap. I would have traded CMRA if it would have made sense to the long side. But I am looking for something that might make sense to the long side that's relatively strong. I know Oracle, of course, had earnings today. They were not good. I still maintain that they were not. It wasn't a good report. It is flat on the session. But it's nowhere near that support at the bottom that I would have loved, that 75.80 to 76 area. However, it did have this pretty juicy 76.5, 76.60. It just bounced off that, which was a bit of support at about just after noon. So there could be a little bit of a long here, maybe like a scalp trade on a relatively strong name. I know it's down 0.1%, but I'm just looking for something I can make as a day trade going into, it is now power hour, going into those imbalances, even if it's just like a 50, 60 cent type scalp play into VWAP. If it's going to hold support, why not? I'd rather do that than something that's relatively strong. I don't think, as strong as NEO is, I feel like it's not going to do anything, just like every other day. That's why I'm ignoring NEO right now and trying to trade pretty much everything else in the EV space. NEO, I just feel like it just goes sideways like it's been doing every single day. Tesla did not break 295. I was looking for it to break this, maybe give me the short back into 95.5 to 96, where we're doing it this morning. Of course, it decides it wants to roll over without getting there. Thankfully, I do have some Rivian, so hopefully it'll have a sympathy crush to the downside. But Tesla didn't quite come into that zone I was waiting patiently for. Patience is a good thing, but sometimes it does mean you're going to miss out on the trade because it doesn't get to your price.
I have to learn. I've said that, the reason why I've gotten so much, more discipline is because of patience. And I think that that's pretty key, but today didn't have much of it. And I think that's part of what you got to, okay, well, here goes Amazon finally. I was actually just looking. I don't even have any, well, I do have an offer at 30 on Amazon now, as we have exactly half left on that play. So if we can get back to the upside here for Amazon, that'd be nice. We could take some money back here at the end of the day. I still think we can get to this one, like pretty high, like not high, but like 128.70 and back into here. So for Amazon, you've seen it's been a nice little move down. The reason why I say that is like that's kind of the top right here, 128.70, where we started to go the first time off of the same bottom as right now, 128.25, 128.20. Let's see if we get going. But that bottom is 128.25, which of course we're having a problem with right now. So let's see if Amazon wants to go back to the upside and we can grab that. The one trade that we put on for you, so we put on so far 2 trades, right? Amazon long, we're still in that, it's working, but who knows? Okay, it just broke 25s and then came right back. So I'm going to put a 23 offer out there and see if we can get that. And then look at AMD. Yeah, see what a scam there, Amazon. Come on, bro. But anyways, there it comes right to the downside. Now AMD now breaking more. We're short at 78.30. Here it goes. So easy to make money on the downside of this market. Hard to catch those bottoms. So Amazon, that sucks. Like as if Amazon, like it just went to 20 to. We were at 30. It just went to 26 before tanking back in, and we take another long there. So hopefully we can make a little bit of money back. Give me those 13s at least. There it is. On a reload position there. We haven't hit this one today. Okay, I don't know if we're dead or not, but we just reloaded some more bullets in our own chamber. So we'll wait to see here what's going on, because we're playing Russian roulette, and every time I spin the thing and I don't get a bullet, I just put another bullet in and spin it again. So I don't know if this is making any sense. But there it is. One more long here for Amazon. Let's see if it holds that 128. So far, so good. But yeah, I don't feel overly confident now, but we'll see. The market just took down 12,200.
You made me think of something.
And new lows.
You made me think of something. And just by the way, I just got into some Rivian right now. So at the same price as before, I'm shorting in front of 39s. I'll take some out, always mid 80s, and then more 38.70. We're gonna go to Brent in a quick second. But Sean, think about this one. Would you rather actually play Russian roulette or have to do what Carlito Brigante did in that scene, which was in the middle of a gunfight, pop out on your own with an unloaded weapon, pretending like it's loaded and just scaring people? Which one would you rather do? Face down a gunfight with a
I mean,
blanks.
It depends what the odds of the Russian roulette thing
I'm just saying, great scene, by the way, and a great movie. Brendan?
These small cap stocks we were talking about this morning just popping back up. Here's one of them. AKRO now, up 137%. Huge volume spike on that one. That ETNB we were discussing as well, back above 7, back above 715, heading higher. So some of the little tiny small caps, low float stocks starting to run here, in fact, as we make day lows on the market.
And sometimes that's where it is. It's like, where can the buyers go? Like somewhere where there's not going to be too much.
To Amazon.
Where there's not going to be an offer. And quite frankly, that's sometimes where you have to gravitate. That's why I wanted CMRA to go. But yeah, this holds 20. I don't know, 28.5 doesn't look too bad. I think you run into trouble at 30. I did try shorting 30. That was like the shortest offensive of all time. I was short at 29.75 and out when it broke 30. So it lasted like 2 seconds. Well, it was more like 30 seconds or so. But yeah, I like this to 28.50. That makes some sense to me on AKRO. And then it has room to 30 for a bit of a run. So you might see me jump into this if I can catch something, maybe like right here. Can I even get 01s?
I mean, we're just talking sort of tongue in cheek about all this. And I do see here someone said, what's up, dronographers? Sean, is that your plan to trade randomly? No, of course it's not on my plan at all to trade randomly. Sometimes I'm just looking for content, and we talk inappropriately as to our strategies. But no, I'm just trying to trade this off of. I mean, here it comes back in here. I was trying to trade the long on Amazon off 128, but as you can see, here comes 128 right now. My orders are already set. The minute it breaks this, we're out. So unfortunately, it's fine. Like, we are able to make money back because our average price is 03. Right? And so, that's what we've been doing, and then getting out here in the teens, so on and so forth. So no, I do have a plan of action, but every plan or, every lock has a key. And today, these are all getting figured out pretty easily, and it is just downside right now. Like just in the last little bit, because I'm holding on to this AMD, there we go, and there goes Amazon breaks, and there's my out, right? Like, the out was fine. We got 96s there. It's not bad. Like, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, if you wait for some of these bottoms to come through, sure, they'll run you over, but at least you can have the opportunity. And we're day trading. We need to be flat at on the end of every single day. So right now, Neil and I have 50 minutes left. So, I mean, look how easy that move down is anyways. Like, I just had to spend, and this is why it's not worth sitting there waiting for something to happen. Like, I had to spend, 20 minutes trying to watch this thing go like 128.05 up to 15, back. And then the minute it breaks, it collapses 25 cents, and I can't even like finish my sentence. So, I mean, yeah, the short is what's printing, and we've made a decent amount back right now because of this AMD. Do we have it all? No, we don't. But there it goes, pushing back down in. So just to talk about a plan of action, like, I look at this chart and I say, okay, potentially this holds right now. It's already broken, but that's sort of the logic, and that's why not trading blind. Like, that 128, thought there was a chance for it to hold, it didn't, so we get out after scalping, and even, to be honest with you, we made money here. Like, my net, although it wasn't much, my net did take advantage when it does crack. But yeah, downside move there. AMD also going to the downside, and to be honest with you, I mean, I look back and I look at this meta trade, like, we're short 160 on that break, and then we covered for $1. It's now down to, this is actually, what the hell am I doing? Meta, this is 52-week low for Meta, if I'm mistaken.
It is.
Yeah, 154 and a quarter right now. It went 1 penny away from 52-week low on Meta, so take that for what it's worth. This might be worth a long again off that low, but then you're catching falling swords into a stock that's down 9% today. Even though there is that 52-week low, isn't that a short into the 52-week low, right? So I don't know, lots of stuff happening right now, lots of different trade ideas going through, but for right now, there it is, 5% down, its worst day since that May bottom that we talk about all the time on the show. There was June bottoms in the market, but that May bottom right there on the NASDAQ, June bottoms in stocks, but the NASDAQ, we've talked about that over and over again. May bottom, it just said right there, worst intraday drop since May 18th. The bottom was June though.
Yeah, ugly there. And just a couple of things. Thank you, Kevin Miles, for the super chat. And I want to shout out Frank Jones. He said something in the chat that I reiterated myself in the chat about AKRO. That's a real tight, like I have a tight stop on this trade. Like I feel like when you trade these, like either you're like kind of swinging them where you're holding on to it for like that big outsized move. You got a really good long off early on and you're trying to hold for a couple of days or hold for the entire day. Or I'm just looking for this to continue the breakout, and it's very binary. Either it breaks this and heads to 30 and my stop is essentially 50 cents worth of risk. I'd rather do that than risk $2 back into VWAP on this thing. Because if I'm taking this break and thinking I have to hold it back 10% against me, then it needs to take out the high of the day. And I'm not just, look, sometimes these things do. What was that stock? I don't know, there's plenty of these that do this, right? But like, maybe it can, maybe it doesn't. I just don't believe in betting on the fact that something like this, which is already rug pulled this morning off of that 30 area, 31 area, I'm just not betting that it's going to break out that high, not into this kind of a market. So that was a tight stop. I did say 28.50, but I wanted to reiterate. I always trade those in that fashion. The shorts, as I said, still coming in here, but man, I should have just jumped the gun. Well, no. I shouldn't have jumped the gun on Tesla because it didn't come to my price, but it does reject that crazy move or that little move to the upside on Tesla, immediately faded for $3, and I can't get more than like 10, 15 cents out of Rivian. So Rivian's still relatively strong. Next pop in Tesla, I'll just short that one instead because clearly that's going to work out shorting in front of 295, whereas I'm not getting too much in Rivian. And I have to check back in because Affirm, which we shorted at the beginning of the show here, it's still holding 24. Triple bottom today on Affirm at 24 even, and it doesn't want to break any further. With about 45 minutes till the close, got to be able to accept that maybe this one does not want to go any lower. It's also resisting 10% down. I'm pretty sure it touched 10% down.
Which did, Rivian?
No, Affirm did. I'm pretty sure it did actually already go SSR. So, I mean, it didn't exactly hold that level, but it is catching a bounce off that exact price or right around that exact price in front of 24, even on Affirm. It's finding support. I'm not going long in front of it, but I might have to take out the short in front of 24, that's for sure.
All right, the market tried to go, and you know, again, not trading randomly. We're long meta here at 43 against that 25. So again, well worth 25 cents worth of risk. But the question remains, like, you're still catching bottoms. Like, you're still going long on a name that's down 9% today against its 52-week bottom. So that's what I'm doing. Like, if I lose on it, but I feel like I have to make this trade. I don't have to, and that's why the answer to your question, Neil, and I said I would play roulette because, like, at least then I feel I'm responsible. Yes. Now I'm pulling the trigger on myself right now instead of having a bunch of crazies unload on me with an empty weapon. Yeah, so I'm going to go on that one. Bitcoin now down 10% as well. That's its biggest plunge since June there on BTC, so that's continuing to go. And honestly, man, I'm just going to cancel my meta offers because if this takes down that 52-week low of right here is what we're at, 154.23, that's the 52-week low, and here it comes right now. So you're just one marketable order away. I mean, there's no size. Here it comes. There's no size on the bid. This is probably a screaming short to take out that 52-week bottom. But again, like, I'm already in the long here. It's fine. Like, I'm down 10 cents, and this is why it's kind of a relaxing thing for me. Like, it either goes up or goes down. We have our target there, and I know that sounds ridiculous, but it's about finding these opportunities. And if the market holds, great, but right now it's not. As I see my AMD, like, the shorts are so easy to print, it's crazy. And the longs, you have to sit here and stress out and try to justify why you are stuck long on this market right now. But yeah, 320, man. it's not that this day can't end soon enough, but like I need a fresh reboot here for tomorrow. Like I'm nowhere near any of my shutdowns or anything like that, but still, it sucks to have this kind of a hit. This will be my worst day in September as we just continue to try to find longs. What was a good day yesterday, not a great one today. So yeah, unfortunately, will be negative. Everything I'm trading, you guys can see, we're trying to pick these bottoms, just hasn't worked. I think Meta can still go here. It's just, you're very, very close to getting pushed out. So I don't know, man. It's 320. Do we have a battle back in this market? I guess we'll wait and see, down 5%.
Yeah, 330, we will get preliminary imbalance data. I mean, who knows? You never really know how that's going to play out when it comes to those imbalances. Maybe it moves the market, but we got a super chat that I wanted to get to, and it was Kevin gave a super chat, then give another one, and asking about Micron. Thoughts on Micron? First thought is, this is getting awfully close to $50 again on Micron. I've been paying for day trades, pay attention probably more to lately Intel and certainly AMD and Nvidia, but Micron sometimes is worth it too. Rejecting the 50 period. Look, they're ridiculously cheap, but it's a very cyclical company. So when you get inflation fears, they're going to get, and also recession fears, and they're going to get beaten up a little bit. But yeah, this gets pretty interesting down around $50 just to start dollar cost averaging into it on the higher time frame. Like you've essentially already just hit that 2020 breakout level at 55, and you had a wick bottom through this. So in terms of significant prices, you're starting to get down into what could be meaningful lows. And if they break those, I'm 100% a buyer of this thing. Any below $40, I'll be all over buying it. That's for sure. But I think you can't guess bottoms. I'd be a buyer starting from 50 down into that 30 level to be sure to dollar cost average in. It is so incredibly cheap. That just in terms of a long-term play, that it does make some sense. On the day trade, it's breaking the low right now. So I wouldn't be buying it right now. That's just, there's long-term, sure, starts to hit 50 and starts to go down from there. That makes some sense to me. I'll probably do it myself. But I'm not touching this thing at the low. This is screaming down. If you had told me that Micron was down as much today as Nvidia, from a momentum standpoint, I wouldn't have believed it if I wasn't staring at it right now. They're getting absolutely shellacked as I look at it. And now that I see Tesla bouncing to the upside, this could be a chance to get into what I missed last time, which was this little pop into 295. So if it tries to take this out, at VWAP, I'll try and play this back into that 295 area on Tesla. As I watch Rivian, at 90, I'm short 94s. It's right back up to like 39 even. So that's not even working for me on Rivian. And checks notes, just to make sure NIO's not moving. NIO's still not moving. Best decision ever. That stock, it does absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing, that stock in the afternoons. I don't know why, but
good call.
It stopped. For whatever reason, NIO no longer trades past noon. It's like it just goes sideways. And
I was wondering if it was because the Chinese market, a lot of those traders maybe close
it wasn't always
their
like
positions.
That, though.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. NIO's traded
so weird.
Very heavily traded on the New York exchange, and definitely like a bellwether for some of those Chinese ADRs. So that logic doesn't make sense. That's just what I was thinking out loud.
No, it's probably right.
Earlier, but I don't know. Okay, so again, look what I'm saying. The market ticks up a little bit here, and Meta doesn't even think, there it goes. I was going to say, doesn't even think about going up. So there it is. Meta dropped down in there as it takes down its 52-week bottom. Now you're looking a little bit lower than this. Let's see where Meta goes. It's starting to take out some levels right now. So yeah, back down to the downside goes Meta. Starbucks also debating a short right now. I know this has been a long for me today, but we're just breaking back down below now, breaking back down below 88. I think this makes a little bit of sense here for a short because it's just so far up right now. And again, if the market rallies, this one could be a problem. I was debating just look at that. Look at Meta, man. It takes the level, the futures do nothing, and it just continues its move back down to the downside. So again, Meta's an okay stock for us today. That long didn't go, man. That's all. I guess I have to. You're 100% right. Stop looking long. That's the thing right now. The chances right now of the Fed rate for going to 100 points is now 35%. Is that true? Wow, that got going quite fast there off of that level.
It was 20-something,
yeah,
right?
Maybe it was 18, I think, this morning. So that's doubled up just in a few hours based on that CPI number. I think ripping the Band-Aid off is the right thing to do, but
I agree.
The market's going to be bad coming into that as well. Brendan, probably here to confirm that. What's up?
This thing's flying around like crazy right now. I was actually just watching it. Here we go. I see 46. So 46 versus 54 on the 100 versus 75. So obviously we have a week and change left before we get this decision rate. So it's probably going to move around even more, but almost a toss-up now, guys, on the 100.
And that's, yep. Okay, that's being reflected. You've seen what's happened with yields if you've been following along. Absolutely crushing to that upside. That AKRO, this is what I sort of meant about, sort of sit back. If I still like the long, let's just say I still like it at 27, well, you can just trade it off 27. And instead of maybe risking $2 or $3 on a trade, you can risk 50 cents twice.
Yeah.
Like, it just makes a little bit more sense. I'm not saying I even like it. I don't even know if, I'm not even sure I'm feeling along in something like this. That CMRA is not even on my board anymore. I'm looking to add a short, and that's going to be Tesla. If I can get it closer to VWAP here, if anything, at least I'll know if it gets to 95, I'm wrong. And if we flush going into the close, then sort of Bob's your uncle. I'm even looking at a firm here. He'll zoom in on a firm. We got VWAP at the beginning of the show, but now it's trying to get back above this little flush price, 24.30, and can't seem to break it. So I might just try to add it back in on a firm here, trading in this consolidation. And again, just trying to find something that's relatively weak that we can get the short on, and a firm might give me that fill in front of that 24.30, 24.35 area, as until proven wrong. I mean, the shorts have been pretty solid so far, unless you're looking at, we talked about Rivian, we talked about Lucid, some of the EV names. Lucid would have been, I actually should have opened with this. If Lucid had broken this bottom, if you just kind of look at it since about 12 o'clock, it's had this weird 16.18 has been the low on Lucid for the last 3 hours. And for whatever reason, it can't break 16.18. If it breaks 16.18, I want to go short this thing. I got to double check to make sure I even paid for shorts on Lucid, but it's a weird floor for it to have, and it's just going sideways. I feel like if that breaks, it should be able to flush. For now, as I keep saying, I'm in that Rivian short and I want that Tesla. I'm not touching NIO, but Lucid, this would be on tap. If it does it before the imbalances come out, this takes out to 16.18. I'm going to try to go short, but for whatever reason, there's a buyer at that price all afternoon.
Man, it's pretty interesting right here. I mean, yeah, there's some back and forth for sure happening. I was going to go short Meta breaking through 154, but now it just seems to want to resist it. We'll see if it does break it, though. Meta, which it looks like it's going to try to right now. I mean, thank God we got out at 25 when it broke that previous 52-week low. Now every lower tick is a new 52-week low here on Meta. We've already come close to that 154 once. I see the bottom as 154.01. Yeah, that's what it is here on the chart, is on our level 2. So that just got put into play right now. Yeah, that. Again, like every new wick is a new bottom. So, whether or not you like to short 52-week lows or not, every single time here is a 52-week low. So watch out right now as, okay, the market's trying to bounce off. If it bounces, I'm thinking about a Google long off 105 because, again, we've already seen that hold once down there to 105.02. But it's just going to be tough to take that long. Meanwhile, punching the short in Meta, right? So will this market bounce? People are saying on the chat, like, stop looking long. It's just like it needs to bounce for me to get short. Like, it's just otherwise you're just taking out these levels. Yeah, it's just like, I don't know. And I'm not trying to make any of these prices random. It's just I want to be able to plan my trade and make sure that I have the outs, right? That's why that Meta trade made sense to me, even though it was the long when it should have been the short. But Google, the same type of thing here. AMD was easy because, again, like when we went short, we were sort of already here on that price. So we were able to, we got a bump up. It tested the 200. Then we're at that 50 period, and then we hit it to the downside, right? So AMD was well cooking already, and then we hit it to the downside, right? A lot of these other names here, like a Meta and all that, like we're nowhere near these 50 periods. So to push the long, you need momentum. To push the short, you need momentum to carry it through, which, yeah, man, I mean, momentum is to the downside for sure. So these top wicks is 30. So you know what? I mean, are you going to wick me out, honestly, if I take this short? Possibly, but here we go. It's testing out 154 right now. I'd hate for it to break, and I don't have the trade on, but I'm not going to stand in front of it. Like 154 looks fine here as a buy. Normally I'd be buying this level for sure, but I don't know. Today it doesn't make much sense. You don't even have that much size sitting there compared to what was there before. So I don't know, man. 154, it looks like a great bottom, and normally I'm here to pick them up, but today it just doesn't seem like the right decision. We've lost on it every time. So I think it's better to stay away, wait for it to break, and then assess it after that. Even if you want to give yourself a little bit less room on a break, you could do that as well. There it is, meta short.
Yeah, and you didn't get that next leg out on Rivian. I'm not going to be happy about this though. CMRA. So I just, like I said, I got into Lucid on that down break, so now I have 4 shorts on, and I just took some out on Rivian in front of VWAP. But CMRA doesn't quite get down to the consolidation I was looking for. Look, it ticks right into 325. I was looking for like the 15 to 20s. It was so close, and then it's now taking out the high of the day. So I might have missed out on this one. I saw it pointed out in the chat, and it's like crap. I like consolidations on these better than breakouts, and it didn't give a clean consolidation, but there was a dip buy in there. At this point, I'm not chasing the tops. I'm looking at the daily and seeing 450 here. If it takes out $4, there's room to run if it gets through 4. But I'd much rather play, if it's taking out the high, I want it holding the high, or I want to play a dip that'll make some sense to me. And that dip would have to be around that 75 area where it had that previous top. So rather than take a 401 breakout, I'd rather take a dip into 75s or so where I can stop out at 350 and then see if it can get running. But CMRA, the only thing I can see that's headed to that upside right now in this market. And of course, it's small cap. It doesn't care what happens in the market. It cares about the size of the flow, which is tiny.
All right, man, like I'm just sitting here staring at this stupid stock. Come on, Meta, like let's just start to print a little bit lower. I'm actually at 76 now, ahead of 75. So let's get that print. Did I even get it? Yes, I did. So here we go. Like we finally decided to go short and look at the market fall down. So, I mean, thanks to everybody in the chat for sure, man. Like stop looking long is what I was reading. And now we look short, and now it's finally time to hit a banger trade right there. So there it is. Finally, I mean, okay. This is honestly, like, I've never, I don't want to say ever seen something like this, but I mean, we have before. We've been sitting here trading for you before when the market has circuit broke and things like that. But it's unbelievable here how easy this market falls. Like, I'm now in the money here, 50 cents, 40 cents on this trade. Like, as if I could ever get 40 cents long. Are you kidding me? Like, look how easy it is on the short side, and it just keeps on going to the downside right now. So we'll go like, you know, this is a runes target here, but like if you just were specific on what you're looking for, I don't think it was really super hard. It's just getting caught at some of these levels. And I mean, look, I could still lose on this trade here, but I'm out of half. It went instantly in the money, 50 cents. Obviously, I'm going to, not instantly, but I'm going to take out some profit. Actually, we still have a little bit more than half as it's starting to come down, and we're like sort of a little salvo on the day right now because that helped, man. That trade helped. If that would have ripped back up to the upside, then that would have been a little upsetting to moi. But right now, a nice little move. We're now 40 cents in the money on this play on the downside. So, you know, it just takes a little flip of the switch there, the light bulb to go off, and you're like, hey, wait a second, what the heck have you been doing all day? Flip the switch on that, and we did it. So I want to thank people in the chat for that one as well. But here we go, a nice little downside move. Making a little bit back. It's not a lot, it's a little, but we'll do that for right now. See if there's more downside here.
Yeah, I just covered the last of my. Affirm just bounced off 24 again, so the 24.50. It doesn't want to break this low. The market makes fresh lows. Affirm holds 24 for like 8 times now, so I don't need to fight that one. We'll hang on to the other shorts that we have, all 3 of them. And then CMRA did make that dip. So instead of taking the breakout, I said let it dip back into that 375 area. I was able to get some at 82 here. Got some out in front of 4. Get some out in front of the. On the break of 4 even, then try to hold for 450 for the last of it. So CMRA, I'm finally into it. I should have been in down here in this little consolidation. It just happened a little fast when we were looking for those other shorts. I just put the Lucid trade on when it broke this. And I don't know why there was an iceberg or a buyer at 16.18. There just kind of was for 3 hours. It broke down. I took the short when it broke, and I'm just going to bid out in front of the low of the day, the morning low, which sits at about 1590 or so. The actual low of the day on Lucid is all the way down to 1560. But I don't think we're seeing that today. I mean, it would take a heck of a lot. The EVs have been relatively strong, but I don't think we're seeing that price. And there goes CMRA. So it just broke I got that right. Oh, I put CRMA. CMRA, could just add it to my quote board, it'd be easier. It just broke 4, so I got some out at 410. So much easier to take the dip buys with defined risk and try to hold on or catch that breakout when it takes out 4. Because I'd be long, right? If I took the breakout, I'd be long at 402 or 403 right now. Here, I've already bought the dip and now can try to hold for that 450 move to see if it wants to get to the upside. Congrats to people who have this bad boy at $3. I feel like I should have it at 330, but I just wasn't quite willing to pull that trigger when it made that last little dip. The volume wasn't there. Now the volume is. Brendo?
Just watching Coinbase here, there's a couple of reports suggesting trades are failing for Coinbase. So a heads up on Coin. There wasn't much of a reaction initially, but it is starting to head south now, guys, on Coin.
This is a big day right now.
Markets be falling.
Trades intermittently failing in Coinbase.
Yeah, that's not good.
Remember I said, I mean, look at Meta, man. Like now, come on. Like, mamma mia, why did we just go short in the first freaking place, man? Like I was short this name $7 ago right now, and now this is what's happening. So I cannot believe I covered so much. But again, like I cannot simply predict that this is going to fall down 75 cents. And it's really, whatever, man. We just made a hell of a lot of money back. So we're pretty happy with it. I'm just frustrated with myself into today because, like, look at this. We're $1.50 now in the money on AMD. Like, look at this name freaking collapsing right now today. Meta is $1 in the money, and we just put this trade on. The previous 52-week low was $1.25 from now ago, and that was 10 minutes ago. So there it is, man. A nice little win instantly. I mean, again, like, I don't know if you're following trades or not today. I hope you're not. But these last couple shorts there on AMD, I mean, we've made money here for you in this closing show. There's no doubt about that. Our Meta, look what happened when we lost on Meta, okay? We were long here and out right there. That's like a 20-cent hit for Meta. We're in the money $1 right now. So, yeah, man, the carnival is open for sure on Meta as it is just collapsing to the downside now. This market, Neil, is like, I mean, we could say it. I wasn't like, you know, I told you not to speak in certainties. I don't think it's going to happen because it's past 325.
We're not,
but we
can't.
We can't now.
Yeah, we can't.
But we could get to 7.
We could get to 7.
We could get to 7.
We can't have a circuit breaker.
Apple down 6.
But we can get to 7.
Right.
So a couple of things. We've now broken VWAP on Rivian, so that's now starting to completely roll over at that 39. Essentially just gave you like multiple times that 39 over and over again. Peloton, both on the consolidation and the break of 10 continues to slide down. And that's the thing, like there's like, even the stocks that aren't completely catapulting downside, they're just gliding down at this point, and all you have to do is sort of just sit in it, take some profit, allow it to roll over, maintain the core. I am looking now with 15 minutes till the imbalances come out. I'm looking 38, 35 or so on Peloton in terms of a target. I do want to get out somewhere. CMRA continues to run upside, so it's headed toward 440 here. I just look at the daily chart and stands out like sore thumb, 450. Also remember, even if I thought this was running to $5 or $6 tomorrow or like in the aftermarket, we're day trading, so we do have to be out of our positions at the end of the day. So I would always have a target. Like this could go to the moon. I don't know. I don't know where it's headed. I just know 450 is resistance, and it's 336. Got to get out of the trade at some point, and it could rug pull at any moment. I now have a break-even stop on CMRA, which is slightly below that actually. 382 long. If it breaks 75s, I am out of this. The only longs that work for you right now are in small cap land that I can see.
Wow, we're riding that bear right now. Oh my gosh. As you continue the destruction to the downside. We have to come up with a name today. Like, I mean, it's Tuesday. I don't, Tumbling Tuesday? No, Brad. We'll figure out something else, but that's a good one there. Tumbling. It is sure tumbling. Just like Pittsburgh, man, the terrible towels are out today, man. This is a big move to the downside one more time. Like, I could just keep saying that until I don't know when, but hit the like button, man. There it is. Puking Tuesday.
Tumultuous Tuesday.
That's a good one. I just saw that go through.
That's a good one.
Tuning Tuesday. Shout out to KFC. Terrible Tuesday there. Tanking.
That's what I'm
That's a good
talking
one.
about.
Tanking Tuesday. I don't mind that one. Tumultuous, I think, wins, man, for sure.
I got no problem
that's a good one. I just saw a good one. Then we actually have a
Tony's Tuesday.
Yeah, where's Tony? Right? Didn't Tony say he flipped long? Poor guy, man. Why I gotta
Did
get
he
that
really?
guy? Didn't he on the show? I don't. When I had him on the other day. This is what I liked there. How about Timber Tuesday right there? Boom.
I like that.
Timber to the downside there. But I wouldn't put more money to work right now. I think you got to give this at least another couple weeks, man. You could test. I mean, we are testing 12,000 right now.
If your time frame is long enough and you're as young as Tony and you're holding something for till retirement, I mean, come on.
Retirement, yeah. Tony's trying to retire next year, but
Well.
aren't we all, I guess? Wow, you guys are really loving. Maybe I should do that more and more here on the show. Ask for your opinion on names of the day because that chat is flying. You know which one I just saw that I actually really like and I think it's going to win? It's going to win for me. Toilet Tuesday right there because there it goes. A nice little flush to the downside there. You don't want to have toilet paper shortages.
Oh, I like this. Tom Petty Tuesday, free falling. See, that's the kind of like
creative.
You're creative. You're thinking about it.
That's creative.
I love that one. Like, I always love when someone takes another level. So that's Rick out there. I want to shout you out in the chat. Yeah, a little free fall because we are free falling in the markets. All the shorts coming in there. But a bit of a bounce. It was a low key bounce here. I just show you like Tesla just bounced like $1.50 or so. So I'm trying to take some more. I'm going to take another leg out of Lucid down here if I can, just because I saw that bounce in Tesla. And of course, we are getting just a tiny bit closer to those imbalances coming through. Which,
that's
by
right.
the way, 222 million sell imbalance on the early look from Financial Juice. That's not that big. That's kind of small.
What was it?
222 to sell.
Nah, bullshit.
Who cares? I don't see any way it's going to look. If it's coming out to the sell side, it's coming bigger than that. That's the way I think. But we'll see what happens. It could be anything. And it doesn't always mean it has to move in that direction. It just doesn't hurt if you're short and it comes out a big number.
That's faux show on that one. I just want to look here at the NASDAQ right now. I don't know if you guys, let me see if I can just put this up here. This is the chart I'm looking at right here. Let me just cover up that so we don't get too confused with what I'm talking about. But right there, this volume spike right there that made that bottom, this is a gravestone right there. That's like a technical bottom. This is just a minute chart on the NASDAQ. So no surprise that it kind of makes that move back to the upside. It exhausts itself on a big candle. So a big sell candle followed by a green candle with that bottom wick. That's a gravestone. So that would normally mean that you've sort of reverted back up to the upside now. There was one right before that, but you could see the big volume came on this candle. Here it's just kind of down. I mean, you have these everywhere, right? But this is a long tailing wick down there. So, you know, I don't know if you're reading technical analysis or anything like that, but that happened at 12,100. That's 100 points away from 12,000, which is a key level, obviously, on the NASDAQ as well. So we could have temporarily seen a bottom here today off that 12,100. And if you think that, you can go long now, but then get out if you take down that bottom one more time. Looking at the TQQ, I'm going to absolutely throw up when I see this. Wow, we were short at $31 on this. It's down to 26. You can see that's the initial short, but there's that bottom. I just called this up because just to identify that bottom. So that's 25.60 here on the TQQs. Might be worth going long against that number right there, but with the imbalances in 9 minutes now, if it does come that nastier to the sell side, you could get a swoosh and then a bid back after that number, but number has to come first. Good outs for us, obviously, down here on Meta as the market absolutely collapsed in. We don't have that spike sell volume on Meta, but still, I mean, the writing's on the wall for this name. We're $1 in the money.
Yeah, exactly. And hey, we're not even at 1,000 likes. I don't know. For all the people 1,000 people just responded to the Tuesday thing, and I still kind of like that Tom Petty one. That's absolutely genius.
I can't get out of my head now.
Yeah, but I can. It's free falling in my mind now. But CMRA is not free falling, but I did tighten my stop to 4 even here. I was going to be down around 375, but it's consolidating higher. I'm looking for a break, get out in front of 450. Big level on the daily. I haven't been able to find any other longs out there except for this thing up 120%. I don't think it's going forever. If we break the quarter, once we're above there, I'm going to tighten the stop even further, which we just got above there. So I want to tighten the stop even further here. You can probably guess what number I'm going to put in here. That's not actually going to be rocket science. It starts with a 4 and ends with 20. So if it gets below, and there it goes. It just triggered that stop out there at 420. I just wanted this one to try to make the run to 450, but it's 342. We're getting close to the end of the day. I still have the shorts on. I'm going to put trailing stops in the shorts going into 350 here. But the only one that I that I'm going to regret was not catching Tesla when it bounced back up to 295. It was a trade today for sort of a reason because I had a good level on it, and I missed my chances to get into Tesla. Took Rivian, Peloton, Lucid, Affirm this afternoon, but not Tesla short. And Tesla might have been better than all of those. Well, Affirm sucks because that stock's always going down. But Tesla probably was going to be better than all of those. I just didn't work my way into Tesla shorts. Make sure, well, everyone trades your own book. As day traders, the reason I'll put trails on and not leave everything to the close is because if the imbalances, for whatever reason, come out buy side and it flips up and we reverse off these lows, I don't want to get trapped and then not take profit on the rest of these shorts. So that's the reason for trailing stops that get tighter as the day goes on. Just coming back to, I completely ignored this stock after it failed to bounce, that AKRO. Oddly enough, I didn't like the long off 27. It's holding 27 but not moving. So as long as it holds above this level, now, this could be something tomorrow. They did have actionable news on the watch list for a reason. And I forgot to point out, 27 is a big level on the daily. It was previous resistance going back into the end of 2021. So holding this isn't insignificant on AKRO. I didn't mean to dismiss that level. It is pretty significant. I just didn't like going long with a stop down there with only an hour to go. If I can defend that level tomorrow at 27, that can be a different trade, and I wouldn't mind coming right back to it.
All right. Yeah, okay. I was going to say, like, I have a bid on Meta in the 80s if that hits off the imbalances, but then it just cranked all the way back down in the 80s, so we do have a bid right now. It's actually at 87, so all right, just runs. I mean, wow. A complete collapse again right now. Look, we've made actually a decent amount of our money back here today. It still will be a negative day for me, but that's, I mean, par for the course when you're trying to catch those bottoms. Big mistake today, sitting here trying to do that. But again, look at Meta. I mean, we shorted there and then we shorted here. So the only plays we've had on Meta really are these shorts, and it's my number one stock. Well, that and Google. So Google is, you know, a good stock for me today. But look where we just got out there when it took down 105.20 where we were long, and it just collapsed as well into the close. But this one long here, got hit there, but that's okay. And then we found the bottom at 105 before and took that up to 106, and now you're retesting some of those bottoms. It's really Apple. Apple's my worst stock today. Without it, we're fine. It's just you can't just like 888s or what was it, 5/8 that account right now for account. Apple. Like, I wish I had that 5/8 account. I'm seeing the man right now that maybe I should be putting some trades into the 5/8 account back there. But Apple today, it's down 6%. Like, what a destruction. After being up 4% yesterday, you're down 6 again today. So, I mean, I hope you're watching this Meta trade. Both these trades are $1.50 in the money, right? The Meta's on the short, and then AMD is on the short as well. So here's short AMD right now on that break, making a move back down to the downside. So far so good here, but man, it's a downside move, and it doesn't seem like it wants to stop at all. So downside move here for Meta and downside move for AMD, but no real give up here at all today. Just seems like it wants to continue to go down. That's Meta, that's AMD. And then we also have right now, with 4 minutes to go, we have the NASDAQ imbalances and the NYSE imbalances coming out. So the last 10 minutes could get extremely spicy here into the close. If you like your spice, this is like about a 500,000 Scoville unit today. Like, you're basically burning your face off.
This is a million.
Here, this is a million today.
It's a million.
I think you're right. What did we do? We did 250.
We did 250,000. Yeah, which I'm telling you, that's not that bad, man. Like,
we had over 11,000 viewers this morning. Make sure you hit the like button right now. Thanks for watching, guys.
Yeah, and NEO finally gave it up, so I didn't short NEO, and it looks like that would have worked as well. So back into VWAP there. I'm watching Tesla. I'll be looking at the Qs here because it's right at that 293 low going into these imbalances. It's not a huge. If we come out if we see like a billion or something, then there might be worth adding into the futures as well. As these start to head back into the downside, I still have a couple of these on Peloton, kind of going sideways again. It just keeps on finding. It's weird. Peloton keeps on finding these buyers. It's sliding down, but now it's at like 985. It's catching a little bit of a bid here. So Peloton catching some wind. Affirm, by the way, still is not broken 24. I actually hope Affirm doesn't break 24. I hope I'm watching Affirm at 24 tomorrow and I can play off of that level because it's been all day long. It's held this bottom. despite the market continuously making lower lows. So that could be a good actionable level for us to watch tomorrow on Affirm. And thank you again, True Trading Group.
It's Christmas all over again.
Another 50. They came back with a 50. The membership's out there, so go grab them if you can. Thank you, True Trading Group. He dropped 50. And there you go. Yep, and they've linked the sponsor in the chat. They sponsor the morning show as well, so you can see it up there. True Trading Group, thank you guys so much for supporting us. Check them out, man. Like they're fantastic, and they're good friends of the show, doing a great job for us. We see them in the chat as well, helping to grow that community because that's what it's all about. No one's trying to trade this alone. Does anyone? Like really, the market's down 5%. Do you want to be navigating this by yourself? We're on a trading floor. We'd have other people to bounce this off of, whether we're doing this or not. But it's a fantastic resource to be able to see ideas from other people, see moving stocks, be able to feel that trend. Sometimes it's easier to jump into that trend when you can get the confirmation that everyone can see the same thing, which we're all seeing to the downside. 2 minutes.
Just show that again, because I don't have the link on my chat, but the True Trading Group there, we want to once again just thank them so much. Make sure you click that link to go see them after 4 o'clock. They do have another live feed to talk about that as well. So True Trading Group, thank you so much for that, and thanks for that, Neil, as well.
No worries.
The market right now looks like it wants to go back up to the upside right there. So all right, I don't know what that little bump was all about, but Meta just went to 10s there or something. Look at Meta down 10% today, cracked its own back again. Nice little out there at 80, started to make some more moves with only 1 minute and 15 seconds left. Yeah, the imbalances are coming, and this is what Neil and I keep talking about. Here's the imbalances right here. Could be pretty nasty. Do we have an update, Brendan, for that? No change as of 8 minutes ago.
We are bouncing.
You seeing anything, Brad, on the nothing? Okay, so right now there is a little bit of a bounce in the market. Whoops, let's see where this imbalance comes in about 50 seconds. It's 349.10, 349.11, 349.12 if you're following along. These imbalances are not live. They will come live in about that 45 seconds.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about. Like you could get, if we get a continuation, I'm now set up. I did get out of Peloton because there's a buyer at 85, but I'm trailing stop with some targets on the rest of these. So that'll be Rivian. I'll put a bid down in the 38 quarter range just in case we flush down there. Lucid has stalled out at 16 as well. And then I want to see what's going on here on the Qs. Ooh, in Vegas, someone said there was only a 3-second delay for them watching in Vegas.
Booyah. There
you go. Not too bad at all. And if you have a delay, you can always refresh YouTube. But here we go into 15 seconds ago. I got to make sure I have mine up, the imbalances, to be able to see.
Yeah, I'm just going to make sure I put something on the bid here to see where we go. So there we go. We take out some Meta, and here we go. The market's right here. The stocks are right here. I'll try to click on them for you as they come out. And right now, there it is. Right now, the market does come up to the upside. It looks like it's trying to go, but nah, it doesn't look like it wants to move right now. Market down 5.6%. Let's see what it does in the next couple minutes. But right now, you know what?
I don't see
Apple here. Right there is a sell, but it's not doing anything to the stock. Remember, Apple, I don't know what the record volume is for Apple, and it's not going to be today, but that's 100 million shares today for Apple. And I'm just wondering if it's done that so far in 2022. That seems like a hell of a lot of volume for Apple. Definitely didn't do, I shouldn't say definitely. I'd be surprised if it did that yesterday on a 4% up day, down 6%, 100 million shares for Apple. Brennan just came out right there, 1.2 billion to sell. So not much happening. I mean, I wish there was. Google, Amazon, they're all sell side, but they're not really doing anything. Google, Amazon. So I feel like it was a nothing burger, but there's that AMD's billion number. So remember, Brennan just came with $1 billion, and you can see what the market's doing down here, nothing.
The chips are, AMD's a 750 buy, Micron's a 600,000 buy. So like the chips look like they're buys. I got out of one of my shorts, or I still have Rivian, but that's about to trail out on Rivian as well because the market's bouncing going into this. It looks like despite the fact that it is that sell imbalance, we're going the other direction. So I don't know if I love the fade as much here. I'm now out. I just got out of Rivian, so the last of the 4 shorts is pretty much done for me. And we'll just look to see if we can actually catch. Yeah, it would have been more interesting if this has actually tried to break those lows on a sell imbalance. I'm a little surprised that we're bouncing here when it is 1.2 bill to sell, but I'm going to be flat. I'm out of these trades, and I will be watching that CMRA. It looks like it just gave up. Yep, that actually just gave up $4. So probably a good idea to get out of that one. It's heading back into the downside. Worth watching this tomorrow. Still holding near the highs, but a run at 4 o'clock, a little bit less likely for a CMRA now.
Yeah, so I just actually went back over here and picked up some Starbucks on that number. I mean, It came back down 87.50. We'll see if it can trace back up. It's been a pretty strong name today. I just thought if the market does rally a little bit into the close, as we can see it's trying to do, could be completely wrong. We're going to get out if it takes down 75, which is that 50 period right there. So very, very small amount of risk on this trade for sure for us on Starbucks. Just thought that maybe it goes back up to the upside. Very, very small risk. Get stopped out, it gets stopped out. That's completely fine. We do hold our AMD, of course, as that's basically at the lows again. I don't know. Maybe just holding it into the close is fine. I'm going to take it out if it takes down that wick right there, 77.25 for AMD. Yeah, there it goes. So Starbucks didn't work. Whatever. That was literally a 7-cent hit. Completely fine. I had, rose-colored glasses thinking we could get back to 88. Doesn't happen. That's fine. 7-cent hit there. But we'll hold on. Meta's 70 cents in the money and AMD's $1.20. So far, so good here into the close. What a rough day, though, man. I mean, that was rough. Like, if you're trying to catch those bottoms, it was rough. If you shorted it early, it was great. No doubt about that. A big thank you to True Trading Group again. There's 50 free memberships to the site up right now.
Yeah,
so
that's amazing.
Definitely grab that.
Yeah, get them if you can.
They don't actually do anything. It's supporting us here. And we want to thank those guys as we get ready for our infinite green stream.
Candidly speaking, you guys all know this. There's a lot going on. We're trading. We're talking. Here, we're monitoring the chat. The members show up, just quickly show you guys with the chat, the members show up in green, and it's just human nature. It's a lot easier to check out when a member is chatting, and you'll sort of see them a little bit easier out of the corner of our eyes because there's a lot to monitor. Got charts, got level 2s, got the show going on as well, got construction going on next to me, which is fun, which is fine. But yeah, sometimes the members, you get that easier answer. We're not trying to do that. It's human nature. Someone just said in the chat, symbolic bottom on the NASDAQ has been hit. I would have thought the symbolic bottom was 12,000, but we're bouncing at 12.1 anyways. We'll see about that tomorrow. Obviously, 12,000 should be on everybody's radar. That should be a big level, should it be tested there. This is my 60-minute chart, and I said it a couple of times because Sean reminded me this morning because I had my charts and not the show charts. Switch to your Z contract. That's the prices that'll matter. The ES never really got anywhere close to 3,900. Its support level. I forgot to check what the result of the poll was. We put a poll in the midday show. It's a different stream now as to whether we thought the bottom this year on the ES would be 3,600 or 2,400. That was because someone asked for it. I didn't make up those two numbers. I don't think we're seeing 2,400 this year, but I'm not sure which one won out of that poll. So if you guys found out or saw what won the poll for the midday show, throw it in the chat because I'm curious what led the day.
Yeah, Bears versus Bulls would know probably for sure. So. Meta got 0.5% away from SSR. Yeah, that would make sense there as it's, I mean, it's almost 0.5% right now away from SSR. So, yeah, I mean, good trading today, honestly. It's just a tough day depending on which way you were. We'll look for a rebound tomorrow, but we got PPI tomorrow. I mean, so many of these names are just crushed today. AMD, you want to talk about a name that just... And I'm in this name right now. We're going to get out if it takes down some of these highs right there, 77.25. We've talked about that. Actually, I better put that stop in. I don't think I have it in 77.75, 77.30. We'll get out of that one and just make sure that we cancel all of our other pending orders. And we're doing that right now, so that's good. Okay, but down 9% on AMD today. What are we down on NVIDIA? I mean, I'm going to imagine the same thing.
7, 8, 9.
When it loads. Yeah, more, 9.5% on AMD or on NVIDIA. Wow. Intel probably holding up a bit better, but maybe not. Down 7.
Micron 7.5.
Yeah,
man.
Micron 7, Intel 7, NVIDIA, AMD, all crush side here. Downside movements happening in the market. Only 4 minutes to go, but wow, some of these names, 29.30 for Intel.
Marvell's only down 4%. Oh, okay. Not a bad quarter for them. A little closer to the 50. That could be a little something if we get a bit of a rebound. Just going to note, I mean, you just saw every single chip name, 7.5 to 10%, and Marvell's only down 4. They didn't have a bad quarter at all. This gets on the radar because $40 on this stock, that ain't bad. So I'm going to have this one. I'm a little surprised that it's not down a little bit more than that given what's happened here today. But that's what you look for sometimes. Go have a look around because you review your trades, you go over key levels, but sometimes you got to look a little bit more broad. Okay, what wasn't I watching today? What might I have missed? Well, I checked some other semis and Marvell, some relative strength. If we get a bounce, that's worth watching tomorrow on MRVL. interesting name. It is more of a growth name. That's why I'd expected it to be a little bit lower than it is right now. Mohammed said PayPal. I liked PayPal. If the market had gone up today, I was like, PayPal was the jam, man. I'm like, 99. Look at the double top on PayPal, breaking $100. Look at this support level or resistance level that we could be potentially taking out if it gets past 103, above the 50. Like, you had all these signs. I would have loved it for a long. And it's not that bad, I guess, where it's pulling back into. If we see 90, that's going to be worth it probably tomorrow. But it didn't happen. I had plenty of long setups, had the number gone the other way, but you have to trade what's in front of you, not what you want to happen.
It wouldn't surprise me if the market opened up slightly up tomorrow, just because there's going to be a lot of people probably putting on some swing trades to the long side. But yeah, when PPI comes out tomorrow, then we're going to see maybe another disastrous print. And if that is the case, then yeah, we will look for some more downside here. I mean, the good thing about today is, honestly, if we're going to sort of think about what a good thing possibly could be, is at least now, and maybe Meta's not a good example, but maybe an Apple is, or an AMD, maybe we've now made some bottoms that tomorrow, if the market opens up a little bit lower or whatever, you can look at these to either smash for a new short trade there, because Meta has made brand new 52-week lows, right? Apple's back down near a level here that a lot of traders are going to look at. Where's the daily chart for Apple? Where it is? There it is right there. Only a minute and a half to go. But right back into some of these levels that we've talked about before, 153, 154 down there for Apple. So as we look, I mean, look at Google. We have a bad chart on that because of the splits. Yeah, there's nothing I can do about it right now. But Google's another one of those names. And then AMD, I think, might be the best case for that. You have some of these bottoms coming into play one more time. So, wow, what a destruction for 2 weeks for AMD, which was up to $100 not too long ago, now down to 77 flat right now for AMD, as it is basically at the day's low. Day's low 76.80. So yeah, nasty here for a lot of these names. And I mean, could you get a relief rally? Yeah. Will it go anywhere near it was today? No, but there's AMD. Look at them just trying to hit this name back down, breaking through 77. So you're also going to have a lot of options that are going to expire at the end of the week, obviously, with traders playing weekly options. It's third Friday. And it's the third Friday, so you're going to get expiration as well. It's
quarterly.
On the S&P, so... Wow, there are
it's quarterly rebalances this week.
There are many marketable events coming through at the end of this week, man, that could change a hell of a lot. Like, imagine having to rebalance your books based on some of this information. So let's get ready to rock and roll. Looks like Meta will take a $1 win here at the very end, as I'm bidding 153.05. Hopefully we just get printed here at the close. There it is.
It is Tuesday. He does the bell anyways, but it is still Toronto or Tony Tiger Tuesday. Get him on the camera. Get out of me here. 3, 2, and 1. Ring it, Tony.
You can't have a Tuesday without a Tony.
Of course
there you go. What's up, Tony? Thanks for ringing the bell.
Just a gap in the week.
This morning you rang the bell. So we had early Tony there, and now we got him late. Wow, Meta's still down that 10%, and we just got that fill there to end the day. So, wow, what a nasty day. I'm so glad that we went double short on Meta at least today, which really paid out. Down now, like we shorted here 160, then we short the 154 break and get the last piece out at 153.05. So, wow, made some money here on the closing show, but that was tricky. Those shorts, man, definitely pay attention to those as we move. Brendan, pretty nasty day out there on the markets.
Yeah, you're going to have to go all the way back to June, guys, June, to find the last time we had numbers like this on this board. So here we go, 4.4 for the S&P, 5.5 for the NASDAQ, leading the way, 4% there. We did breach 4%. For the Dow as well, it was a little bit better throughout the day. But yeah, a worst day here right across the board since June for equities. Bottom end of the board, not much better. 10% at one point. We almost got to for Bitcoin and Ethereum as well, 7. Yeah, we'll see what tomorrow brings, because can it get worse?
Well, Bitcoin bounced exactly off.
Can it get worse?
Of course it can get worse. I mean, come on. Can it get worse? It can get worse. But 20,000 just bounced on Bitcoin. That was the other thing happening here when crypto fell, is you bounced right off that big psychological level. And remember, look, it's not just options expiration. It's not just quarterly rebalancing. We've also had the merge this week. Imagine that doesn't go well. I don't want to think about it that way. But that's another catalyst that could move these markets as well. In terms of earnings, There's pretty much nothing this week. We had Oracle, and then I think we get Adobe on Thursday, and then that's pretty much it for earnings that's actually significant. So it's all about that rebalancing is going to be spicy on Friday.
Today, the S&P 500, talking about the rebalancing, closes down 4.3%, the lowest and the worst day since June 11th. So there was that June bottom day. If you want to go back, you can look. I mean, I can look right now quickly to see what. Let me just call up the ES quickly just to see what happened the day after June 11th. So just so we can have a rough idea. Here's the ES right now on e-signal continuous contract. So June, what date did I just say there? June 11th. So that would be, that's the 16th, 15th, 14th, 13th, 10th, 11th.
Are you sure it's not the 17th?
This is what it says here. S&P closes 4.3% lower in worst day, single day.
Oh, but the low was on the 17th.
Yeah, exactly. So the worst single day must have been right here. And then we actually continued its move down the next day as well. That's the 13th. So yeah, the 11th, yeah, right into here. A couple bad days in there, and we continued the move down before eventually making that bottom at 36.30. And yeah, so we're not even like, those of you that thought 3,600, I mean, right, even just today, we wiped out. We started the day, let's just call it, well, not just call it, the high of the day is 41.75. The low of the day here, 39.39, you know, the low. So that's, what did I say, 41.75, 39.39. So 250 points off of the NASDAQ there real quick. You take another 250 off, and guess where we are tomorrow? You're right back down here retesting those lows. So not that I think that's going to happen, but the playbook needs to be open for both sides of the trades at all times. So there it is here as well. Apple, Microsoft post biggest one-day loss since September of 2020 for those names. So Microsoft and Apple, both their biggest one-day loss since 2020. We didn't even look at Softy today. How much is that even down?
I looked twice. It wasn't
6.
It was 5.5.
Yeah, you don't get 5.5 too much on Softy since 2020. Wow. So September, not a great month. But,
it usually isn't.
Yeah, it usually isn't. The fall is not good as they come back, sharpen their pencils after a wonderful summer most have had, but not here in the markets. All right, it's 4:04. Let's wrap it up, Brendo. What you reading over there?
Just looking at some numbers, just reading what you were reading there, like unbelievable moves for individual names, unbelievable moves for the market itself. Yeah, we'll see what tomorrow brings.
Yeah, dollar cost average, Derek Spainhauer just said there in the chat.
Yeah.
I think that's what you want to do at these
Long-term,
levels. I don't think you ever want to put a whole bunch of money in, but that's what dollar cost average means. Maybe you drop 10 today, 10 tomorrow, so on and so forth until you wind up to 100% and have no more bullets to fire. So that would be fun, but hopefully we go back up, right? So, all right, it's getting on late in the tooth here. 4:05, thank you for watching. Hit the like button if you haven't. Thanks to everybody. Thanks to Fahad. Thanks to Lucas, everybody worldwide. What is Fahad even doing right now?
He's got the finger ready.
What's he doing?
Oh, he wants to switch it over.
He's got the finger ready.
Oh.
He wants to go home there, have some spicy Cheetos.
Make him wait a
All
couple
right,
more
Fahad, it's going to be a good one. Thanks to Maggie. Glad to have her back. We'll see everybody tomorrow. Stay tuned for your trade of the day. We're back at 8:30 tomorrow. Ciao, guys.